All right. Good evening, everyone. If we can get settled down, please, we're gonna go ahead and get started. All right. It's 5:37. Call to order. Roll call, please.
Ms. De La Vega. Present. Ms. Garcia Robles. Present. Ms. Perez.
Present.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Present.
Mr. Dundidor.
Present.
Mr. Zogby.
Present.
Mr. President, you have enough members to conduct business.
Thank you. All right. Invocation led by the city clerk.
Lord, we are grateful for your continuous blessings and pray that you continue to guide us in benefit of our city. Amen.
Amen. Okay. Pledge of allegiance led by Councilmember Perez.
Please face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please have a seat. Okay, meeting guidelines.
The following guidelines have been established by the City Council. All lobbyists must register with the city clerk. As a courtesy to others, please refrain from using cellular telephones or other similar electronic devices in the council chamber. A maximum of 3 speakers in favor and 3 speakers in opposition will be allowed to address the council on any one item. Each speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. No signs or placards in support of or in opposition to an item or speaker shall be permitted within the council chamber. Any person, whether participating via web platform, telephonic conferencing, or physical presence at City Hall, interested in making comments or posing questions on matters of public concern or on any item on the agenda, may do so during the meeting. Members of the public may address the City Council on any item pertaining to city business during the comments and questions portion of the meeting. A member of the public is limited to 1 appearance before the City Council, and the speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. The public can view public meetings on the city's YouTube page.
All right. Moving on to appointment of an acting council member to seat, what is it? 6.
Resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Hialeah, Florida, appointing blank as acting council member to fill the vacancy on the Hialeah City Council, resulting from Councilmember Brian Cobble's resignation as the City of Hialeah Council Member Group 6, effective November 1st, 2024, and exercise all authority of the city of the office of council member, and to serve that portion of the term of Councilmember Brian Cobble that precedes the next regularly scheduled municipal election to be held November 4th, 2025.
Okay. So, trying to see here. All right. All right. So, city clerk, do we have a count on the number of candidates that submitted?
7.
We have 7, and they were all, because I received them, I believe that they were all sent to the council members.
Correct.
All right. So, I'll go ahead and I'll open it up first to the council members if there's any discussion, any comments on that. If not, I welcome all that have submitted their resumes if they want to say a few words up in the podium. Okay. Just a name and address, sir, please.
My name is Hector Celine, address 5690 West 17th Lane, Hialeah, Florida, 33012. I want to start by saying I think we're all on the same page here, and thank God Trump is our new president. I'm just gonna read real quick what I wrote, just because I didn't really think of anything to say. I didn't think I was gonna get the opportunity to, so I'm just gonna read what I wrote to the council. My name is Hector Celine. I'm writing this letter to express my interest in the vacant Hialeah Council seat. I ran for Hialeah Council back in 2021. My campaign was run on pure grassroots. I pretty much did everything on my own, and it was my first time running for office. I earned 829 votes, and it was not even close to a victory, but I don't consider it a loss either. It was a great learning experience for me, and if I could go back, I would definitely do it again. I worked for the city of Hialeah for 14 years, from 1999 to 2013, and I grew up in the Hialeah Parks and Recreation. Hialeah has always and will always be my home. After my council run in 2021, I joined the Miami-Dade Republican Executive Committee as an alternate district committeeman. where I have been serving ever since. I would definitely love the opportunity to be considered for this open council seat, as I truly believe that I can work with the current Hialeah Council and the current Hialeah Mayor, Esteban Bovo, in serving our community and always doing what's best for the residents of Hialeah. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Salim. Appreciate it. Nice hat, by the way. All right. Okay. Do we have any other council discussion? Who's that? Oh, you want to come up here, sir? Name and address?
Lawrence Arthur, 126 East 15th Street, Hialeah, 33010. I was in the Army Corps of Engineers, 135th Battalion. I'm damn well proud of that too. Hell of a learning experience. Recommend the Army to anybody. I don't know how many of you on the council are veterans? Anybody? I think that the people of Hialeah, I think we need a veteran on the council. Because we have needs that need to be addressed. And someone like me can do that. And it's high time that's happened. And yeah, I don't know how to go about, I don't know if I need a petition for names. I have ran and gotten petitions. It's very easy for me to do. So I could use some assistance on what I need to do to gain that seat there. And I could use all of your help doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Great. Anyone else like to come up? Say a few words?
Juan Santana, 5601 West 10th Avenue. Over the years, I could tell you that I've had, I don't know how many people tell me, run for council first, run for council first. Never did, because I could not stand the last administration. I knew I could not work with that individual. And I know over these 3 years, I've given information. I've tried to be very transparent with stuff and always give what's gonna, at the end of the day, better the city as a community, because we all live in this community. And at the end of the day, whatever you guys decide to do, you know, at the end of the day, you have to hear the constituents and you have to hear the people that even have the opportunity to come on and vote for you. So this is me, obviously asking for what they want also. At the end of the day, I serve my city day in and day out, sitting there or not. And I want the best for Hialeah. So I know you guys are competent all enough to make the right decision today. If it's me, great. If it's not, it's still fine. You know, again, I would like to continue to work with each and every single one of you guys. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Santana. Okay. Does anyone on the council have any comments, any questions?
If I might,
Yes, sir.
I won't question anybody's qualifications or desire to serve the residents of the city of Hialeah. I think everybody that submits their name is with good intentions. There are some that submitted names that have already been through an electoral process that did not come out successful. And my advice has always been in those situations that these are people that literally should put their names and run, not seek appointment. I think the city does a lot with veterans. Can we do more? Perhaps. And I thank the gentleman for his service and willing to submit himself or his name to continue to serve in this capacity. I'd like to give my recommendation. Juan Junco has been serving our community in the Hialeah Housing Authority now for many years. He's also been involved in our campaigns and many campaigns as a form of public service, as many of the others that have submitted their names. Juan Junco is a person with long established roots in this community, as a family man, as a business owner. And I think if there's an area on this council that he could be very helpful in is which correlates directly to his service in the Hialeah Housing Authority is with our seniors in our community. Many of us go and court their votes, court their support. But he basically lives in that space as far as serving that community, and he's been doing it for a long, long time. His city has had a history in a couple of occasions of naming a Hialeah Housing Authority board member to this council. Paul Hernandez being one of them, Luz de Lozano being another that served very admirable here in this council. This position, I think, if we look at it from a standpoint as a position that the voters are going to make a decision in November of next year. I've had conversation with Juan, and he's not a politician. I'm not sure if there's any interest in him trying to run for the seat and retain the seat. But I do know that while he'll be here, he'll serve admirably. He'll serve with a servant's heart, and will help, continue to push our agenda and craft an agenda to move this city forward. So, for what it's worth, I would recommend him to the board, and would hope that we could get him to serve on our board, and then move forward from there.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Just to piggyback off of some of the things you said, Mayor, I agree with you on folks that have ran before and couldn't didn't get 50% or 51% of the confidence of the voters. I think that the only way they should be up here is if they run again. I agree with you. Yeah. I agree with you on that front. I did like the idea of again having someone here that might potentially serve as a placeholder, right? To kind of guide the seat until there's an open election. I think I would be very, very open to that. I like the fact that the majority of us on this council, it's a relatively young council, including Zogby, and but I do think some experience and that older hand on this council for a period of time. I think there is a lot of benefit to that. Any other comments? Any questions?
Through the chair,
Yes, sir.
unless there's any other comment from the audience in advance, I'd like to say I agree with everything that's been said about Juan Junco and more. So in advance, I place a motion for him to be nominated for the seat.
Perfect. You had a question, ma'am?
I had a comment, through the
Yes.
Chair, please. I just wanted to thank all the candidates for submitting their names. You're all great candidates in one way or the other, and I think it just shows how much love, so many of you and all of us have for the city of Hialeah, and how much passion so many of us have to serve. So I just wanted to publicly thank all of you for submitting your names.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman. All right, so we have a motion by Councilman Zogby
And we have a second.
and we have a second by Councilman Rodriguez. Call the roll.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Tundidor.
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes,
Ms. Garcia Rose.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mr. Juan Junco has been, No?
didn't call Ms. De La Vega.
I'm sorry?
We didn't call Ms. De La Vega.
I'm sorry, she's not on my.
who's missing?
Ms. De La Vega, Yes, sorry. It's okay. Motion carries. Mr. Juan Junco has been appointed as acting council member of seat 6.
Congratulations. So, yeah. Yeah. Hold on. Wait, Mr. Junco.
Come up to the microphone, Mr. Junco.
All right, sit again. Yeah, let's reread the reso with his name. Mr. Junco, the city clerk is going to say a few words and then we'll talk about next steps now. Go ahead.
Resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Hialeah, Florida, appointing Juan Junco as acting council member to fill the vacancy on the Hialeah City Council resulting from Councilmember Brian Cobble's resignation as City of Hialeah Council Member Group 6, effective November 1st, 2024, and exercise all authority of the office of council member and serve that portion of the term of Councilmember Brian Cobble that precedes the next regularly scheduled municipal election to be held on November 4th, 2025.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is, we're gonna have the swearing in today. And then, Mr. Junco will join us on the dais. Okay, so how do you want to do this? The swearing in? You'll go down there? Okay, do you, Mr. Junco, do you want to have your family come up with you for the swearing in? Yes.
Okay, sir, repeat after me. I, Juan Junco,
I'm Juan Junco,
do solemnly swear or affirm
certified
that I will support, protect, and defend
support and defend
the Constitution and the laws of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the state of Florida,
the state of Florida,
the charter
the charter,
and code,
the city of Hialeah,
and in all respects will faithfully discharge
discharge
the duties of an appointed member
to be a council member
of the City Council
of the city council
of the City of Hialeah,
of the city of Hialeah, Florida.
You know what they're all thinking, right?
No.
Okay. All right. So moving on to election of council president and vice president, a subsection A, please.
election by the City Council of one of its members as council president pursuant to section 3.01 subsection C of the charter of the City of Hialeah.
All right, I'd like to pass the gavel for a second, and I would like to make a motion for the vice president, Jackie Garcia Rose, to nominate her for council president. I think the vice president has done a tremendous job, always very active, always engaged with the city of Hialeah, and I have no doubt that you can run this meeting better than me. So so thank you for everything, Jackie, and that's my motion.
Second.
I'm sorry, Monica was gonna.
Oh,
Sorry, Monica.
Go say
Okay,
something,
okay.
Monica.
You jumped.
Call the roll.
I'm sorry.
Second by Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Dundidon.
Yes.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Roves.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega.
Yes.
Mr. Junco.
Yes.
Motion carries. Council Member Garcia Roves is appointed president.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I would like to thank Council President Jesus Tundidor for nominating me as the next council president. Being vice president, for the past 2 years has been a meaningful experience, and I'm truly honored to take on this role. And I would also like to thank all of you for your trust and support, and well, keep going. Thank you.
We didn't plan this, by the way, right?
No, it was all
The color
coincidence.
coordination here. All right, so let me get the gavel back because I'm gonna finish this meeting. Thanks. All right, so moving on now to subsection B, council vice president.
Election by the City Council of one of its members as council vice president pursuant to section 3.01 subsection C of the City of Hialeah Charter.
If I may motion,
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to motion for Luis Rodriguez, councilman, to have an opportunity to sit as vice president here and represent the city of Hialeah.
I would second.
All right, we have a motion by Perez and a second by Garcia Rose.
Mr.
Please.
Tundidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega,
Yes.
Mr. Junco.
Yes.
Motion carries. Councilmember Rodriguez is appointed Council Vice President of the City Council.
Thank you.
All righty. Moving on to, well, congratulations to you both. I hope to keep the same parking spot that I have today. So, all right, presentations.
And the same office.
None, sir.
Yeah, don't move my
Oh,
office.
right.
right? Don't move it. Okay, so, all right, moving on to public comments and questions.
First, we have Barbara Canales.
Ms. Barbara Canales. Good evening. Name and address, ma'am, please.
Yes, Barbara Canales, 1681 West 68th Street, Hialeah, Florida, 33014.
Okay. Go ahead.
So my question is to Mayor Bobo, since you went and saw the townhouses area that I was referring to. You saw how small the driveways of those townhouses are. So the issue we're having is the the townhouses from West 17th Court, from West 68th Street to West 72nd Street. Very small townhouses. Also, the townhouses on West 16 Drive, the apartment buildings, like I said before, everyone who passes through that West 68th Street to connect from Hialeah to Hialeah Garden. So they see the Hialeah as well for them to go and do whatever they want there. Thank you, I forgot to say that first, for cleaning the canal. It's beautiful, but just to let you know how sad it is, that's the same Friday that they were done cleaning, right in front of my house, because this is me. I'm done cleaning the Hialeah area across the street of my house. So there's two empty beer bottles, plus cigarette packs right across the street of my house. They've been sitting there for weeks since you guys, sadly to say, that day that it was done cleaning that Friday evening, somebody went there and parked and did that. It's very sad. If you're going to live in a townhouse on West 6, just in that area, they can buy expensive boats. I said toys, cars, because where are they going to park their vehicles? I saw Mr. Sabi on local news saying, yes, you could bring your work cart home. You could do, it's welcome officially. But if you don't have a space, don't bring it. That's the law. So my neighbors wants to, like they say in Spanish, quieren meter La Habana en Guanabacoa. And that's not going to happen in those townhouses. Therefore, Hialeah as well is becoming a dumpster. And you see, the same day they were done cleaning, they're still there. I'm done, because we used to clean it. I'm done cleaning my area. And my next door neighbor got a 12-pack of Corona. I mean, those are expensive. They got money to get drunk, but then they don't take their garbage with them. So we have a serious problem to be addressed.
So I went by your house. I think I spoke to your mom.
Yes,
Unfortunately, you weren't there. You were working.
yes.
but
We are very thankful that you did
it's,
you did go that day.
it's okay. So I did talk to your mom, and I did talk to a lot of your neighbors. Obviously, there's conflicting thoughts on what the solutions are. Some of your neighbors feel, particularly the ones that live across the canal, feel that one of the reasons they bought, and they've been living there many, many years. We're gonna be working with, I believe it's the South Florida Water Management District, and the county to see if we could come up with some sort of solution. The area is gonna need extra parking. There's no other way around it.
No,
Okay.
but we do not want parking.
I understand. You may not want parking. Your neighbors have a conflicting view of what you may want, but
But they sign.
maybe they had no idea what they were signing, but I
No,
will
no, no,
say
no.
this.
It was very crystal clear.
All right. What, no solution is going to be offered until we sit down with the neighborhood and show them perhaps different versions of what we could possibly do, okay? But make no mistake, the people that are parking there at night, all live in that area. They all live in that area. okay?
Yes,
So
correct. They
so-
leave the address that I just gave you.
they all live in that area. Everybody that, and in fact, some that even go down the street, I forget right now.
No, they
the-
all live in that area on
Exactly.
West Drive, 16 Drive,
Mhm.
West 17 Court.
Right.
That's where they live. So they, like I said, then it's nice to have a humongous car, but where are you gonna park the rest? So we're gonna be the ones to solve their problems for somebody who's irresponsible?
Ms. Canales, some of the residents that are your direct next door neighbors that front to that area are the same ones that were telling me that they need the parking in the front there. So we're gonna try to come up with a
Okay, I
solution.
would love to, because I asked them and I explained to them exactly what Miguel from Engineer Street Department told me, the same words I told them.
Mhm.
And they did not agree. What they do want, but I told them that's not gonna happen, is to have, for instance, I live on 1681 Street. Across the street, only who lives on 1681 Street parks. I told them, keep dreaming. It's not gonna happen with the city of Hialeah or
No,
any
it doesn't
Hialeah.
happen with
I
any
mean,
city, with any
city.
city, not just the city of Hialeah. So we'll try to come up with
It's still
some,
the same.
we're gonna try to come up with some solutions, and we'll show them to all the neighbors. Right now, what I see is a swale area that's being parked upon and it's destroying the swale area. I understand, I saw exactly what you were talking about.
You just drive, can somebody go and pick up those beer bottles? Cause I'm not picking them. The
No, well,
city-
I'll go,
I'm
don't worry
done-
about it, I'll
I'm
go.
done cleaning.
Okay.
I mean, you saw those garbage that were in my house? Where do you think they're coming from? Across the street, because we keep
Understood.
recycling and recycling. I'm like, they're gonna think, these people really have parties every day?
Okay.
And it's not our bottles,
I understand.
it's from across the street. So we run out of recycler room for picking up those recycles
Yeah.
across the street. And so I'm done. I told my brother, don't pick it up,
I got it.
just leave it.
Yeah.
All right. Ms. Canales, as soon as those options are drawn up, they'll contact you to share them with you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming. What else we have?
Justa Luis Azi.
Hello, name and address, please.
Justa Ace, 788 Southeast Park Drive. And I guess you're gonna guys show the video. Present themselves.
Hold on. Hold on.
Present themselves.
Okay, play.
Really, their actions show the opposite. The battleground, Three Friends Park. The attorney representing this project described this park in legal meetings and legal documents as abandoned, locked, and unused. In the September 12th Hialeah City Council meeting, Attorney Phoenix Lizardi boldly declared,
this area, has a lot of history. Really, what's the use that's there right now is unsightly, not well kept.
but let's rewind to the planning and zoning meeting of August 23rd, where Attorney Phoenix Lizardi claimed,
We're going to improve the Three Friends Park which is there, which is really a vacant lot. It's not even being used as a park, it's actually a lot.
This was a lie. The fact is, his idea of improving the park involves tearing down Three Friends Park to use as a parking lot and swapping the house at 812 Southeast 12th Place to build a dog park. This is what they consider an improvement. What a slap in the face to our residents. We may seem like the underdog, but here's the twist. We have the law, the truth, and the media on our side.
Así es, buenas tardes. Exactamente por esta razón son decenas de residentes de aquí de esta comunidad Caelía que planifican protestar esta noche en la alcaldía de la ciudad. Algunos vecinos dicen que este es de los escasos espacios verdes que le quedan aquí cerca de sus casas.
Brace yourselves for future events that will clear up all of these lies. Then the Hialeah City Council will be able to make good decisions based on the truth. The city planner has been leading our city council with untruths to make bad decisions on false premises. Watch as Mrs. Casal Munoz is asked if the park was abandoned.
But Ms. Cotondo, do you think the park was abandoned?
I specifically asked when we declared that a park in the last meeting that we had, because I didn't know that that was a park. I thought it was vacant land that was donated to the city. I did not see it ever in the parks. But I found out it was a park because you brought it up to me, and I've always been very friendly to the parks in the city of Hialeah. So I didn't know that was a park, to be honest with you, Pepper. I really didn't know that that was a park.
The false statements spread by the city planner and the attorney representing CBS Navarro.
Okay. So I'm going to read this in her thing. Hace 53 años que vivo en mi casa. Vivo a una cuadra de Three Friends Park. Vinimos ante este consejo hace 10 meses.
1 second, ma'am. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
I need to translate for her. So she needs to read and I need to translate.
Okay. So how long is it? How long is the statement?
It's very short.
Let me see, how long?
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines.
8 lines? Okay, so just, you can say it and then let her, after every sentence, let her, okay?
Hace 53 años que vivo en mi casa. Vivo a una cuadra de Three Friends Park. Vinimos ante de este consejo hace 10 meses
Wait,
para
Okay,
decirle.
line.
Go.
Hold on. Can you read the first line again?
Sure. Oh, I thought I was going to read it and then give
So
it to
line
you.
by line so that I can go
Okay.
translating.
Okay. Hace 53 años que vivo en mi casa.
Right there.
It's been almost 53 years since I lived in my home.
Vivo a una cuadra de Three Friends Park.
I live 1 block from Three Friends Park.
Vinimos ante este consejo hace 10 meses para decirle que la planificadora urbana Deborah Stark, el abogado Félix Lazarte, que representó Navarro y nuestro alcalde.
We come before this council 10 months ago to speak about the planner Deborah Storch and the attorney Felix Navarro.
Que representó Navarro y nuestro alcalde no estaba diciendo la verdad sobre el proyecto.
That represented the project and to say that the mayor was not telling the truth about this project.
Hemos demostrado que lo que dijimos era cierto. No recibimos su asistencia ni interés en nuestra preocupación.
We have demonstrated that these things are not true and we have shown our dedication to the project.
¿Qué podemos hacer mejor como residentes para que ustedes, el consejo de nuestra ciudad, tome las quejas de las residentes en serio?
What can we do for the council to take the complaints of residents seriously?
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Ozzie. All right. Do we have any other person?
Elisa Ozzie.
Elisa Ozzie? Okay, so Ms. Ozzie, I'm going to give you the 3 minutes and then no more after that. We give you enough time, okay? All right. So another video?
My mom was the video and I guess I'm the question. Oh, okay.
You have another video?
Yeah, Elisa has another video pulled up.
Okay. Okay, does anyone want to respond?
Yeah, the question is, what are you guys going to do since the residents keep on asking, especially older people, How are you gonna take the
Okay,
rest
so
seriously?
let's do this. So let's play your video, and then after the video, you can go and then we can answer those questions. Play the video. Go.
Recently, some noisy nights in Hialeah caused hundreds of complaints from residents in Miami Springs. Mayor Bobo ignored Hialeah residents' noise complaints until the city of Miami took it by law.
And Miami Springs says they are now working with our city attorney to explore legal remedies. We cannot accept this infringement on the rights of our residents to enjoy peace and tranquility in their residences, especially when these concerts last until 5 a.m. The Hialeah does have a noise ordinance. Violations include reproducing or amplifying of sounds that creates a noise disturbance beyond the physical boundaries of property in a residential neighborhood or a mixed-use neighborhood of commercial and residential zoning districts.
Mayor Bobo refuses to enforce this law.
Part of this 2019 ordinance for Factory Town includes a plan for buffers to minimize visual impact of light and glare and to mitigate amplified sound.
Hialeah has neglected to enforce this ordinance. My bedroom is in the back, and you could hear the walls boom, 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 like the whole shaking, and you can't go to bed like that, you can't sleep at all.
Overnight Sunday, neighboring Miami Springs told its residents to direct their anger at Hialeah. And by Monday, the city's new mayor was fielding visits to his office from sleep-deprived residents.
They have the right to have a good time, but we also have the right to live in peace and have time to rest and to relax.
I think a lot of it has to do with the way the speakers were set up and the direction of the speakers were pointing in.
We are taking it seriously, really not because of the threat, but because it's the right thing to do.
We were looking for someone from Factory Town and found Aubrey Jane on his partner.
We bought property with the intention of doing an entertainment district and doing it in a way that was good for everybody. This was a vision that Hialeah shared.
In a statement, Hialeah's mayor Esteban Bobo says in part, we are looking into a solution that will satisfy both parties as we continue to push Hialeah's growth for the benefit of its residents. Jane claims she was unaware of the lawsuit as for the nuisance abatement notices.
I'm aware of the letter, but I did not receive that. So I understand the noise was an issue and it's being, it is being worked on. And I think there will be a reasonable solution. Over this Halloween weekend in 2024, the loud music continued until 6:30 a.m. This video was recorded on Sunday, November 3rd, 2024 at 7 a.m. This property is located directly across from Factory Town. Developer Aubrey Jane is proposing an 11-story parking structure with commercial space on the ground floor. Yet most residents of Hialeah and Brownsville are unaware of this large project.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Next person.
Jose Ozzie.
Mr. Ozzie.
Yeah, I guess you guys can answer the question. Like, what are you guys doing for, like, we come for the complaints and it just goes unheard.
You have to be a little bit more specific of what complaints are you talking about?
The one was the three parks.
The three parks, the Three Friends Park has not only been discussed at this forum multiple times. And it has been explained that the exchange that was done and authorized by the city council nets the city more parkland. This fallacy that the park was being used for picnics and dominoes was obviously a staged video that was done. There's nothing else to answer on this item. Mr. Ozzie has made numerous accusations of folks, not just personnel of the city, but people that sit on this dais, numerous of them that have all basically flat on their face because they're baseless. They're baseless. So there's really nothing to answer. If there's a complaint, it's looked into. If it's valid, it's addressed, plain and simple. But what Mr. Ozzie is trying to allege here, or at least insinuate, is some sort of nefarious wrongdoing. And unless he has proof to show that, unless he has it, then it's just things running out of his mouth for the sake of running out of his mouth. Now, we've been entertaining this every single council meeting. a video, it's been uploaded, a picture. We got another clown that just videos people all the time. This is like standard operating
I
procedure.
think as part of as the city of Hialeah that you live there, people didn't know that they sold the house and they paid.
No,
all
it's
the
no,
price.
the reality is it's notified. There's notifications that are always put out, so people that know and the transactions, people decide whether to come, not come. That's what they elect people to do, to basically adjudicate these issues, deal with these issues. But we've been at this now. In fact, as far as I know, the pharmacy is already well under construction, and we've been at this over and over and over again, sitting here point blank of these constant attacks and constant innuendos that are basically groundless. They're groundless.
All right, let's go ahead and have the next speaker, please.
Jose Ozzie.
All right, Mr. Ozzie? Yeah, Jose Ozzie. Name and address for him.
You have the picture?
Is this a
The
video?
other picture?
Okay.
The other picture? The other one. That one.
All right, start.
Jose Ozzie, 788 Southeast Park Drive. Mayor, I lost a lot of respect for you. I even helped your campaign, and here you are, you walk away because you don't want to say the truth. Sure, you do this every time. And this is when I brought the issue to the ethics department. Deborah Storch had Alex, our assistant attorney Alex, speak that what the city did, it was barely legal, but it was not ethical. I asked Alex to come up, our assistant attorney, last time, and he walked out the meeting. He didn't even talk. The mayor lied again. Can you show you the picture? We were promised that the house that they tore down was going to be part of the park. It's not part of the park. Show the other picture. The other one? That one. That house, there was a house there, was promised to be part of the park. It's not. That house is going to be used for a parking lot. The mayor, with a straight face, continues to say that the park is bigger and better, which is, you had a video shown to you that the city planner lied 5 times to a news reporter and nobody said anything. She came up again, and what does the mayor do again? He walks away, you know? I've lost so much respect for him, but she spoke to the ethics department too, but the attorney Govia, but I'm gonna go on. Right now, we're giving 2 fields from Slade Park and none of the residents know about it. They just tell them there's gonna be 250 extra students. That's not even ethical. How can you give away a park and nobody knows? Right now, we had a party at Factory Town this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday till 6 a.m. in the morning. We have an ordinance, which I'm going to leave here. We have an ordinance for noise and we have an ordinance for Factory Town. The mayor told the police department not to enforce the ordinance. And what does he do? First he lies, then he walks away. Like total, but you know what? That's life, you know? I mean, the truth always comes out. God always brings everything to light. I want to ask you, like, what are you going to do with our issues? Like, there's a world, right? There's a world called Hialeah, and then we have a world called City Council. Like, you all collude, who's going to be the president. You collude on our budget. There's no discussion. There's no open-mindedness. If you're the collusion, the people in Hialeah are very upset. Councilwoman Angelica Pacheco tapped into that, you know, and so a lot of you are up for re-election. The people in Hialeah know what's going on. Now, I go around the area in Factory Town. I live 6 blocks from there, and that noise, I heard it at 6 in the morning. You talk to the residents, they all say the same thing. Why call the police? Why come to city council meeting? They're not going to do anything. We got to live with this noise. The mayor refuses he told the cops not to enforce the law. What are we going to do, you know? And so my question to you is, the residents don't come here, but they're in pain. People are in pain, you know, and it's like you don't care. Are you going to help us with this noise that we can't sleep?
Right, sir.
Yeah. So this weekend, because contrary to his thoughts, I'm honored this with the chief of police. On Halloween night at 1:44 in the morning and at 12:53, 2 calls regarding noise on Halloween night. The following day, there was no calls, none. Nobody reported, not one. The following day, we had two from generating out of Miami Springs. One was, looks to me like at 8:41. And the other call looks to me like about 11:43. And a third call at 1:30 in the morning from Hialeah. In the entire weekend, 4-day event, there was total 5 calls on noise. Regardless, I've reached out to the promoters of this festival and to revisit the issue of the directions of the speakers. Total 5 calls. Part of the problem is, again, as I've said repeatedly, I have over the course of, I don't know how long, 7 complaints by Mr. Ozzie to the Miami-Dade County Ethics Commission, 7 of them. And in every instance, they find no legal sufficiency, no merit to his complaints. None. Again, but we're subjected here to sit here and have to take this incoming continuously, you know, and so we could do this every single council meeting and just go ahead and take the incoming, and that's fine. That's what we signed up for. But everything he says has zero merit. Okay, and it's, you know, it's sad that just because you're an elected official, you have to sit here and take the insults over and over and over from a person who quite honestly should be very careful about how he insults people. He should be very careful about it, okay? But we've given you your 3 minutes. Thank you again, and I guess you'll be back next month.
Right, you lied again. I hope you provide those 7 complaints.
You're the liar.
All right.
Can you provide those for public records?
You're the liar.
Can you provide those 7 complaints for public
You're
records?
the liar.
Can you provide that for
We'll
public?
provide that.
You lied again.
Come get it,
Provide
liar.
that. We'll provide that, Ozzie.
And here's the article I'm gonna give to the city
Okay,
clerk.
thank
And
you.
Bridget, welcome back. We miss you.
Thank you, Mr. Ozzie.
Okay, I
Thank
wanna
you so
provide
much.
the-
Do we
the
have
o-
anybody else?
But I want to explain what this is. It's
Go
the
ahead. No,
ordinance,
we know it's a noise ordinance.
city noise ordinance, and
We
then.
got it, Mr. Ozzie. Thank you.
Okay, can I give it to you? And are they
Get-
gonna
get-
tell us the 11-story parking lot? Is that gonna be a strip joint like
All right.
11? Or what's gonna
Get
happen?
that too.
Give it to me.
All righty. Thank you so much.
I'll ask that for public records. I'll be here. There are no 7
Perfect.
complaints.
Thank you.
He-
Call it.
You're the mayor, you lie,
Yeah,
but
give
you know
give
what?
that.
Take them. Go ahead, take them. They're right there.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ozzie.
I'll
Who's
be
the next
back. There are no,
Santana.
all right, there
All
are
right,
no
that-
7 complaints. I'll be
We're
back.
done, Mr. Ozzie. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, who's next?
Juan Santana.
Mr. Santana?
Juan Santana, 5601 West 10th Avenue. Congratulations. I know you're gonna do as well. You're a very respectful gentleman. I've known you for many, many, many years, and you're gonna do nothing but wonderful things here. Regarding what Pepper's been complaining about, I really haven't tried to touch on those things, but I remember coming to your office and telling you, please don't knock down that house. We need, how do we keep police here working in the city to have better retention, was to actually fix that house and rent it out to a police officer and their family. And you knocked down the house to make 6 parking spaces and a nice entranceway for Navarro to have their entranceway. That is wrong, guys. Now we're taking, and another thing now, you know, you're a licensed realtor. You're a licensed realtor. You're telling me public land that you switched over to make more of a parking for Navarro, right? For a house that looked like a crack house that's probably worth $420,000 in that area of Hialeah. There's no way that it costs a $750,000 exchange there. All right, we could do better. You know, I brought this up to your chief of staff a long time ago, but obviously, I guess we're too busy doing other things. At the end of the day, we just exchanged green space to give it away to a corporation. Regarding what's happening with Colia, congratulations. I'm super happy. I did receive my public records to see who's the one this phantom management company that's coming in. That, let me tell you something, for the amount of money they're gonna be giving, I suggest every single one of you look into that a little more. Okay, when I was the president of Salvation Army as the council there, the private sector for school funding from the for federal, back then, this is 2018, it was $68,000 per child. Okay, per child, yes, $68,000. Now it's even more, and the city's not even going to get close to $1 million with that exchange. And it hasn't. It's not on the diocese. It's not. So, you know, at the end of the day, you guys can talk about it. I'm not stupid. Just know that I'm not stupid. And I know how to bring the message at the end of the day. Okay? But you just knock down a house for a corporation that we need police officers, good police officers to work here. Okay? Good ones. And we're getting a lot of good ones. And at the end of the day, we have to find a way to retain them here. Okay? We should have more police officers. But obviously, I see now that you are not upholding the law. That way you know. Thank you.
All right. Do we have, who's the next
Can
person, please?
can you please give me 10
Whatever.
seconds to explain the other lie?
Mr. Ozzy, we're done. We're done.
But he lied again.
Mr. Ozzy, we're
10
done.
seconds,
We're
please.
done. We're done, Ozzy. Mr. Ozzy, we're going to the next one, please.
Well, he lied.
We're going
again.
to the next one, Mr. Ozzy. Please do me that favor. Just
There's
have a
no
seat.
complaints.
Mr. Ozzy, Mr. Ozzy, Mr. Ozzy, we're done. We're done. We're done. We're done. We're done. Okay, Mr. Ozzy. Okay, Mr. Ozzy, we're done. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's not escalate this, please. All right, who's the next person?
Lawrence, Arethia? Arthur.
Congratulations, sir.
Name and address, sir, please.
I gave it to you earlier.
Yeah, no, we gotta do it again, right? City Attorney? He has to give the name and address again?
Lawrence Arthur, 126 East 15th Street, Hialeah, Florida, 33010. I need to address the grants from Rebuild Florida and Economic Opportunity trickle down from FEMA. If the mayor could address this and if the council could address this, it's very important that those of us with the awarded letters for the grants that are still waiting to get our houses in order and repaired and fixed back the way they were. It's kind of important, don't you think? Oh, those of us that have been given award letters from Rebuild Florida and Economic Opportunity, we're still waiting to get our homes fixed and back in order the way they were before.
Is that a city grant? Is that one of our grants?
Well, I've been getting excuses from senators, from the federal government, state government, everybody. I've written DeSantis, and I've talked to senators, and I'm at the city level now. I'm still trying to get some assistance with this. And I know I'm not the only one. It's a very important issue. If you can address this and help me to possibly contact the individuals that need to be contacted and have these grants and have the persons actually start working on my home, I would be grateful for that. And not just me, I'm sure my neighbors would be as well. I'm sure they would attest to that. And that's one reason why I was running for that seat, because I was going to address it personally. Being I don't have that seat, I'm asking you to do that for me. And Mayor Bovo, if you could have your office available to me, I'm sure you seem like a very hands-on mayor, from by what I've heard. And I need your help to address this matter. And like I said, my neighbors would be very grateful as well.
Lawrence, I think we have grants here as well, so I don't know if you want to maybe go and speak to her.
We have SHIP grants and other grants.
Yeah.
This is something that's already been awarded.
Yeah.
And there's no loans attached to them. That's why I'm asking for your help.
Okay. So you want to, Mark, yeah, so you see the gentleman right there with the nice beard? This guy right there? If you want to speak to him, he'll get you set up for a meeting, okay?
Right.
Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you.
Thank you, Lawrence. Appreciate you. Okay, next person.
Harold Henton.
Mr. Henton. What is it? Harold? Harold Henton. Good evening, sir. Good to see you again.
Good to see you again. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm just here to ask a question. My name is Harrell Hinton. I'm the senior minister, senior pastor of the Brownwood Church of Christ. The gentleman that spoke earlier, he and some other residents came to the church where I preach at just to lift some concerns so that I can have a little more clarity so that I can communicate to them effectively in regards to the factory town. But I have more interest or more concern for the 11-story parking. So I'll digress to give Mr. Kilpatrick some information. My main concern was, did you all have any plans? Is that even how it is, in essence, your place or thought process regarding the 11-story parking? I just have some concerns to see if that's going to happen or not.
Name and address, sir.
Ken Kilpatrick, 5167 Northwest 29 Avenue. Very quickly, I want to make you aware of an issue about the noise that comes from Factory Town. I'm not saying that you've received any complaints. I know that I do have some members of the association, Brownsville Civic Neighborhood Association, who have voiced complaints to us about noise that comes from that area, 48th Street, 46th Street, 37th Avenue area, where there are festivals, other events that go on. That music is very loud. It comes into Brownsville and it's disturbing, folks to sleep. So when we have our meetings, we routinely have someone there from Miami-Dade County, either RER or Miami-Dade Police. And of course, because there's a jurisdictional issue, there's not much that they can do. Their hands are tied. So I did want to say to you this evening that we'd like to work with you to resolve that, because at one point it was resolved. And then suddenly around Halloween time, I get the calls again. So if there's something that we can do to resolve that once and for all, that would be greatly appreciated by your neighbors to the west. Thank you.
That's fair enough, and we'll try to facilitate a meeting with the folks that do the promotions out there. I think they've shown their intentions always to try to work whenever there's been complaints. Quite honestly, we hadn't heard complaints for a long, long time. I don't know what happened this weekend. Again, all we received at our end was about 5 complaints.
No, understood. What happens is, again, if people are calling the police in Brownsville, that dispatches to Miami-Dade Police.
May get routed to another area. I
Right.
understand.
So you guys aren't getting the complaints unless they're rerouting them, and sometimes they don't do that. They'll just tell you that that's outside of their boundary call, such and such, and it kind of gets lost in the translation.
Okay.
So to his point, to Pastor Hinton's point about the garage, we did want a little more information about that. There's a 11-story garage that's planned to, okay.
Yeah. So, and I appreciate you coming and voicing this concern. So that item hasn't even come to the city council yet. That item, I believe, is making its way through the planning and zoning board, which is tomorrow. So if you guys want, you can come tomorrow. I think it's at the meeting is at who? It's the same time as this was 5:30 tomorrow at the same chamber.
Oh, 6 o'clock.
So we don't have anything this month?
No, it's tomorrow.
Okay, so gentlemen, yeah, so what we're being told by our attorneys is that tomorrow we have planning and zoning. It's 5:30 here, but that item has been tabled by the applicant, so it'll come back at December's meeting in the Planning and Zoning Board.
Understood. Thank
Yeah.
you, sir.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, do we have anyone else?
Gigi Lou Grasso.
Miss Gigi Lou? Grasso? Oh, Gigi and Lou. Oh, I thought it was the same name. My daughter's name is Lou. All right. Okay, no worries.
Hi, Gigi and Lou Grasso, 351 DeSoto Drive, Miami Springs, Florida, 33166. Briefly, it's the noise is back. It's terrible. Began Halloween night and it continued till Sunday. We heard it around 7 or yeah, it was like 7:30 or 8 in the morning. So I just want to, I don't want to argue with you, Mayor. It's not a pleasure to be back. This is our third time here. And we believe the first 2 times that you were going to, mitigate the problem. But I just want to clarify that I did stop at the police department in Miami Springs and I spoke to the dispatch officer and she told me that there were 10 complaints total and that they're preparing a report for you and add to those 10 myself and my husband because we didn't call the police, but we're here instead.
And our neighbors.
And yeah, we have neighbors that live in Virginia Gardens, which is almost 4 miles from the epicenter. And we're 3.5 miles from the epicenter. And we're all listening to the concert for free. And we don't want it. And we want to sleep instead. So seriously, guys, this has to stop. It's not fair. And at any age or any stage of life, you deserve the opportunity to sleep at night. And our hearts break for the people who are blocks away. We are almost 3.5 miles away and we hear it. And not only that, but we put in a hurricane-proof, soundproof windows and doors, and everything vibrates. And you can not only feel the vibration, but you can still hear the pounding. And that's the, yeah, last time I was here, I was explaining about liquefaction, but I'm not an engineer, but I've heard people who are engineers explain that. And because Miami Springs and Hialeah have so many waterways, the impact that the sound makes through the ground, through the waterways is worse for us because we're like we're on the receiving end of the battleground, let's call it. And, we really want this to stop. Please put yourselves in our place. And we are 3.5 miles away from the battleground. And Virginia Gardens is almost 4.5 miles away from the battleground. So please have some compassion for your brethren who are living blocks away. And that's why we're here. Please help us.
There's nothing that can affect us as much as the
3,
people that are
2,
living close to this issue. But council members in Virginia Gardens are also preparing something
Yeah.
because we're friends with a couple of them and we expected one to make it, but he wasn't able to make it.
Yeah.
But again, something happened, like Mayor Bobo has said, something changed this Halloween. So it's affecting us and our neighbors just are not coming, but they were sleepless as
Yeah.
well.
All right. Our time's up. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Gigi. Thank you, Lou. All right. Any other comments?
Hector Celine.
Hey, Hector's there for you. Hector's gone? Yeah. Okay, Hector's gone. Do we have anyone else in the chamber? Ma'am, name and address, please.
Hello, my name is Marie Rice, 771 East 47th Street, Hialeah. First, I'd like for the picture from the board that were with you. I want to introduce myself. I am Marie Rice. I am the president of the Hialeah Women's Club. And I am very disappointed with a mayor that does not uphold the law. I don't care if there's one complaint of a noise that their house pounds. because, and I didn't even want to talk about this because I call all the time in my neighborhood and I have to call multiple times in the night to get them to stop. And I know people are frightened to call the police because if they want it to happen, that they get notified that it's going to get taken care of, they have to give their name and phone number or address. And people are afraid because then those people that you complained about will retaliate. And it's really, really sad. And someone had told me that it was the DeSantis who made that law that you have to, if I come here to make a code enforcement complaint, you have to give your name and address. That's so wrong because then people retaliate and your life is in danger in this city. I know Juan was with me. I just walked down the street to a neighbor's house and we were taking pictures because she has 4 apartments above her house that's been there since 1975. And we were just walking and talking and she came and knocked on my door and threatened me. And I have a witness of it. So I know about retaliation. That's one thing. The next is still parking over our sidewalks, which is against the law. And you very much intimidated me last council meeting when that lady that you gave her the day and you were allowing her to break the law to say that she could park over the sidewalks to make fun of me. And that wasn't funny because you did. And we have it on record and I'll get it. And I'll bring it to the next people over you because that is so immature. Just like you were talking to Mr. Jose. You're very, very rude. And I would love to check his cell phone to see what he was doing on his cell phone while a person that he can't even stop for a minute, that they were talking about the noise ordinance. One person has to complain and that's enough. But if they're not upholding the law, that's your job as a mayor to have the police chief to uphold the law. And the same thing with the sidewalks, that it is not getting taken care of. And the last time I was here, you rattled off that there were 80 citations given in a month. Well, that was 3 months ago whenever they told me about it before. Oh, we have 80 citations that we gave out. Okay. They were warnings. They weren't even citations, first thing. And as I tried to tell you before about the math, there are 4 police officers in one section with three schedules. And that's 12. And 12 times 30. That's only.
Yeah. Ms. Rice, we ran out of time. I mean, 10 more seconds. Go ahead. Finish your time. 10 more seconds.
Right. So 30 times 12 is 360. That's if they only gave 1 citation in each section every day. And then you multiply that by 30. That's 10,000 citations. But you know what they've told me? And I have plenty of pictures from when they've come to my house. Oh, I don't even have any in my car. I'd have to go back to headquarters. Okay, I'm letting it rest, but you have not heard the end because you may laugh and you may smirk,
Ms. Rice.
Mr. Bovo,
Ms. Rice.
but that's very disrespectful.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
About our city because you don't.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Rice. All right. Any other public comments? Go ahead.
Good evening, Eric Johnson, Hialeah Firefighters, Local 1102. I think Junco had to take a bathroom break. Welcome to Mr. Junco. On behalf of the Hialeah Firefighters, we welcome you and we look forward to working with you. To the elected officials, I am so sorry that you have to come here every month and get your teeth kicked in. For over 20 years, I have been the one kicking your teeth in, believe it or not. But I feel lately it's a little unfair to our police department, even though some people say your officers don't give out citations, probably because you're busting your ass doing other things. So we salute you. As far as our first responders, we also salute them for doing their job. As we have always said here in this council, we do more for less and we do it with less. And the bottom line is, although we cannot make everybody happy, let us recognize the change that has come under this administration, this council. Let us recognize the change and the transformation that has taken place in Hialeah. It's amazing. And for the people who've shown up recently and want to sit at this dais and bitch and complain and do the same thing every single month, it's your First Amendment right. It's your First Amendment right. But if you haven't suffered here in the past 15 or 20 years, and you don't have the mental fortitude to understand the transformation that has taken place in this administration, take it from somebody who has suffered for 20 plus years. What I see before me is amazing. And I have no problems or qualms to say, thank you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Do we have any other public comments? Anyone in the chamber or online?
No one online, sir.
No? All right, so moving on to announcement of amendments.
In accordance with section 376.80 of the Florida statutes, the city council will hold 2 public hearings on a resolution creating a new Florida brownfield area at the property located at 2400 West Okeechobee Road, Hialeah, Florida, 33010, identified by folio number 0430110002-1051 as green reuse area pursuant to Florida's Brownfield Redevelopment Act. The first public hearing is scheduled to be held today, and the second and final public hearing is scheduled to be held during the city council meeting of December 10, 2024 at 5:30 p.m.
All right, moving on to consent. There's more? Okay.
Item planning and zoning item G is postponed until the city council meeting of December 10, 2024. Consent item UU has been added to today's agenda, and consent item MM has been withdrawn from the agenda.
Moving on to consent agenda. Do we have any items to pull?
Through the chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to pull item B,
Mr. Boy,
V as in Victor.
B as in Victor.
Yeah.
Okay, item V. Any other item?
Motion.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Councilman Zogby.
Second.
We have a second by Jackie for Garcia Rose.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Rovez,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Dundidor,
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega,
Yes.
Mr. Junco has stepped away. Motion carries. The consent agenda has passed except item V.
Okay, so item V, do we want to read into the record and then she can speak on this, or because I believe there might be. She has to go ahead.
So the only reason I'm pulling this item is because I have a conflict.
Mhm.
So I'm just gonna read into the record.
In regards to Council Member De La Vega abstaining from the vote, it is under unfinished business in that last council session in late October, October 22nd, the mayor had actually requested that the city utilize an oral disclosure statement when a voting conflict arises by one of the council member. That council member has to abstain from the vote. So the Office of the City Attorney did in fact prepare a memorandum indicating what the disclosure should be. And I provided a copy of this statement to Councilmember De La Vega. This does not supersede the fact that the form still needs to be filled out, that's required under Florida law and under the Florida Ethics Commission, and that needs to be submitted to the clerk's office.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So I, Councilmember Melinda De La Vega, want to disclose a conflict of interest per the requirements of Florida law. I will abstain from voting on item V, discussing or deliberating on this agenda item matter to avoid any conflict of interest or appearance of improperty.
Perfect. Thank you, ma'am.
Motion.
So does she have to step away?
Just step away.
Step away, please. Thank you. All right, so
And I
item
second.
V, please read the record.
Proposed resolution waiving competitive bidding and authorizing the mayor or his designee and the city clerk as a testing witness on behalf of the city to enter into an addendum to extend the master contract for professional services in form acceptable to the city attorney with Pine Tree Capital LLC, doing business as Emphasis Benefits attached to as Exhibit A, to provide insurance representation and related professional services for the City of Hialeah Employee Medical Plan, dental and vision plan, GAP plan, stop loss insurance, Medicare Advantage PPO plan, as detailed herein and attached as Exhibit B, and for the mayor or designee and the city clerk as a testing witness to issue the required purchase orders to effectuate this resolution in an amount not to exceed $28,900,000 for a term of 1 year beginning on January 1st, 2025 and ending on December 31st, 2025, and to execute any and all necessary documents in furtherance thereof. And the mayor and city council hereby approves the transition of the Aetna medical insurance plan from fully insured to city self-insuring reference plan and providing for an effective date.
All right, so we have a motion by Councilman Zogby and we have a second by Vice President. Please call a roll.
Ms. Garcia Rovez?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega has abstained. And Mr. Junco is still away. Motion carries. The item is approved.
All right, yes, ma'am. Ms. De La Vega, if you're listening, please join us on the dais.
There's no getting away.
Right there, yeah, she could hear me. She
Do
could
you
hear
have the form filled out?
me. Do you have the form filled out?
Didn't give it to you?
It could be done after the fact. Okay, all right, thank you. Heading on over to administrative items.
So 12A, first reading of proposed ordinance repealing and rescinding Hialeah Ordinance number 2023-120 attached here to as Exhibit A, granting a special use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinance, Section 98-161, to allow the use of a 3,140 square foot bay as a clinical investigational research facility operating 24 hours and 7 days a week with a maximum of 12 patients per day and 8 staff members, granting a variance permit to allow 48 parking spaces where 93 parking spaces are required on an existing industrial building where 76,505 square feet will remain for industrial use and 3,140 square feet will be repurposed for commercial use, in contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinance, Section 98-2189, subsection 5, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
All right, this item's in first reading. Do we have any council discussion? Do we have a motion?
Motion.
We have a motion by Rodriguez.
Second.
Second by Zogby. It's not open for public comment because it's in first reading. Please call the roll.
Ms. Garcia Rovez?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega?
Yes.
Mr. Junco?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for December 10th, 2024.
Uncle, we thought you quit. All right. Good to have you back with us. All right. So he's gonna give us one more shot. All right. So item B is postponed to December 10th, and then item C is also postponed to December 10th. Let's move on to item D.
First reading of proposed ordinance amending the Hialeah Code of Ordinance, Chapter 62, entitled Parks and Recreation, amending Section 62-21, alcoholic beverages, intoxicated person, to provide that mayor of the city of Hialeah has the authority to allow the possession, consumption, and/or sale of beer and/or wine at city-sponsored events taking place at recreational and/or park facilities within the city of Hialeah, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
All right, that item's in first reading, not open for public comments. Do we have any council discussion?
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Brew Fest this Sunday, 2 to 6,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
West 16 and 7-6. Absolutely motion.
Perfect. We have,
If I may, through the chair.
yes, ma'am.
I wanted to ask our city attorney a question on this. So as it goes, written, right, it says that now we are allowed to have alcoholic beverages. Is there anything that's tied to this? Because I don't know why I thought that I have heard in the past that if a city provides the grants, to have alcoholic beverages, we also have to have some kind of food option so that the person doesn't, get overly intoxicated.
Mike.
In regards to alcoholic beverages, what state statute allows is for beer or wine. It doesn't allow for spirits. So we can't just, use the term, the general term of alcoholic beverages. But what this ordinance does is basically it codifies the Florida statute, which DeSantis amended last year, which basically talks about the expansion of the square footage of the service and also how many persons could be served at the time. But in regards to the process of doing a beer fest, a wine festival, or anything like that in our parks, we still have to go through the permit process, and that a permit needs to be obtained. We have to get the approval of the Florida Division of Alcoholic Beverages and Tobacco and things to that effect. So I don't know if that answers your question, but there's still a process that needs to be.
But
followed.
through that process, we are not in violation if we host something that we are not providing food as well. Does that component must be present? Is there some kind of wording in that statute that requires us as a municipality to offer or to have that present?
I would need to do a little bit more research on that, but, again, usually when these festivals do in fact occur, food is served along with the alcohol. And there also has to be, I know that the state, for example, says that you have to follow certain safety protocol, that there has to be crowd control, security measures, things to that effect. But as to what exactly ABT requires, I could definitely get back to you on that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mr. Hernandez, you good? Go ahead. Say something. You want to say something? Go ahead. Name and address, please, sir.
George Hernandez, Director of Events, 4800 Palm Avenue. So the ordinance that you're fixing right now is currently because there is a restriction at all recreation facilities for city events. This is not for public events. This is city hosted events. In order for us to host any event where we have beer or wine at a park facility other than Mylander, which is an exemption from the ordinance, we have to come before the council. This is allowing city events to take place at our facilities to allow beer and wine.
No, I understand, but the food component is what concerns me because the
There
city
will be
event-
food components
But
at all
that's an
city events.
additional cost. It's not included in the price of the ticket. So I'm concerned that there may be some kind of retaliation that's not included passing this ordinance through. Because the ticket only covers alcoholic beverages. It does not include a food item.
Correct.
So therefore, I don't know if something's written in the statute that could eventually hurt us because someone could get overly intoxicated because we didn't offer food within the price of the ticket.
Got it.
That's my concern.
Understood.
So I don't know if that's something that should be included in the ticket, just because if we're passing this now this opens up a whole.
Well, just for through the chair.
Yes.
Just for purposes of clarification, what this ordinance does is simply codifies the law as it comes to the square footage and how many persons could be attending the event. We're not making any changes as to what exactly is the permitting process in order to have that city event. That's not before the council. The only thing that's before the council is to amend our code to be consistent with 56120 under Florida statute. That's all it's doing.
I know. Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
So no further questions. I think there was a first and a second, right?
Who gave me a motion? Zogby got the motion and then second by De La Vega. Call the roll.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Tunido,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles,
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega,
Yes.
Mr. Junto. Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for December 10, 2024.
Item E.
First reading of proposed ordinance amending chapter 2 entitled Administration, Division 2, Competitive Bidding Procedures, Article 4, Purchasing and Competitive Bidding, Section 2-815.1, Protest, to update such section to provide basic procedures for protests of solicitations and awards over the minimum bid amount, including contents of protests, time to file, authority to resolve protests, stay of award during protests, filing fee, cost, compliance with filing requirements, and informal protests, providing for an appeal of the director's decision to the city council, providing for a severability clause, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Yeah, I'd like to, this item's in first reading. I'd like to have Mr. Suarez up just for a second. Just have a quick, simple question. Can you explain to me what are the changes that we made or the modifications that we made to the protest process?
Okay, Luis Suarez, 501 Palm Avenue. The biggest change that we did was a protest before was 10 days after the award. Now they need to protest. Now they could protest before the bid gets awarded. Was a big issue that we had on the previous way.
Well, I'm sorry, maybe I'm just not grasping it. How do you protest something before it's awarded?
So we make the recommendation to come to council.
Uh-huh.
The vendor has an issue with it. They submit the protest. Before they had 10 days after it was awarded by the council to put the protest.
Oh, got it.
There's an issue there that you're protesting something after it was awarded.
Got it. So what's the window of time between internally you make a decision and before it comes to council?
So they have 5 days from the moment they're noticed that they have an issue with the award recommendation to put in the protest.
So it's like a 5-day window?
Correct.
But from when?
Before it gets awarded.
Before it gets approved by the council.
So we put in our intent to award on our website, on the e-procurement platform. Everyone gets notified. They have 5 days from the day that they're noticed to put in the protest.
Got it. So in the website, you say vendor A, B, and C was awarded.
Right. No, or say vendor A is going to get awarded.
Vendor
If
A is
vendor
gonna
B
get
has an
awarded.
issue with it. They have 5 days.
Got it. So then 5 days, and then before it was 10 days after.
After the fact.
or really before it'd be 15 days after the notice, right? 5 days and then plus
Well,
10.
it could have been more because
Right.
we could have put in the council letter. Council item might have been before council 30 days after we put in the intent. It just depended. So yeah.
Is that, Louis, is that standard like across the board?
So the way we had it now was not standard. That's not good practice. Right now, we are following what's like common practice in other cities.
Okay. The county does it like that?
Miami does it like that. I don't know how the county does it,
Okay.
but Miami does it like
Okay,
that.
so there's precedence. Okay, got it.
That, and we didn't have an established procedure on how to submit the protest, which we do now.
Oh, we didn't have an SOP for that.
It wasn't very clear. It was just you had 10 days to submit it. Here's the $1,000 check, and that's it.
Wow. Okay, perfect.
We're a little bit more detailed now.
Got it. Thank you, Louis. All right, do we have a motion?
If I may,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, Louis.
Yeah.
You said it's pretty streamlined to other counties and, but is the timeline, exactly the same? Or is it just the process?
The issue that we have now, what we have now is an issue. What I'm proposing now is standard practice across the board
The
when
5
it comes to the
days.
cities.
The 5 days.
That's 5 days.
Okay.
Through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Louis, I have a question.
Yeah.
So just to make sure, right? I mean, I like that we're going to standard, right? I don't want to have an issue, but so somebody puts in a bid. Before it gets on the agenda, are they aware that they are not selected to win the bid?
Okay, so the way it works now, we submit an intent to award on e-procurement platform. We submit the item and it gets put on the agenda for you guys. After the bid gets awarded, then they have the chance to protest. Now it would be, we put the intent to award, they have 5 days after that to submit the protest. The item will not come before you guys up until it's reviewed by myself. And then the city attorney also agrees with my recommendation. And then we bring our recommendation to the council. So instead of in the past, how we had the protest was seen before you guys during the council meeting, now what's coming before you guys is a recommendation by my office and the city attorney saying, we received the protest. it's either it's merited or it's not merited, and then you guys just take final action on that, as opposed to having the entire procedure be in front of you guys during the council meeting.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, the mic.
This ordinance also states different basic requirements, because in our code, we don't have requirements as to what exactly the petitioner, the person who's protesting the bid, needs to submit. So this ordinance actually says that they need to stay with particularity, what exactly are the laws that have been violated, what are the facts, that they want to submit into evidence, and there's even a filing fee of $1,000. So all these things are addressed in their basic requirements that just haven't been addressed in our code of ordinance.
Yeah. Good. All right. What's the motion? Motion. We have a motion to approve by Zogby, and we have a second by De La Vega. Call roll.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Doolittle.
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles is away. Mr. Junco, Ms. De La Vega.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for December 10th, 2024.
All right, item F.
Just a reminder to the council, this is the resolution you will not be voting on today. I will just be reading it into the record.
Okay.
Proposed resolution designating property located at 2400 West Okeechobee Road, Hialeah, Florida, 33010, and identified by folio number 04-3011-002-1051 as brownfield area pursuant to section 376.80 subsection 2A Florida statutes for the purpose of rehabilitation, job creation, and promoting economic redevelopment, authorizing the city of Hialeah to notify Florida Department of Environmental Protection of said designation and providing for an effective date.
All right, let me see this. Who's representing this project? Is it you are? Are you with well, could just name an address here, please? Is that on?
Good evening, Mr. President. My name is Brett Brummond with the Goldstein Environmental Law Firm. We have offices at 2100 Ponce de Leon Boulevard in Coral Gables, and we represent the applicant Hialeah Storage Associates LLC.
Okay, so I'm familiar with this property here. This is the is it by the housing buildings? Is that what it is? Let me see something here. Hold on. I looked at Julio, but so this is west of 12th Avenue, right? Okeechobee, west of 12th. There's that big parcel there next to Daisy and Rosa. Is this Daisy and Rosa? Yeah.
It's intersection of Okeechobee and West 24th.
Yeah, it's right next to the building. Okay, so all right, so what's gonna happen here, Brett?
So the applicant is requesting designation of their property as a new Florida brownfield area. They're developing the site with a new 3-story self-storage facility. It's already under construction.
Okay.
However, the redevelopment has been complicated by contamination from historical auto repair uses at the property. So we're seeing some limited soil and groundwater contamination, as well as significant area of buried debris that was left after the property, former structures on the property were demolished back in 2007. So this designation would allow the applicant to receive limited state-based incentives, come at no cost to the city.
Yeah.
They impose no obligations on the city, and they don't lessen any obligations on the property owner. But the applicant's required to request this resolution before they can enter into a cleanup agreement with Miami-Dade County to access those incentives.
So there was a building on that property before. Wow, I didn't remember. I always remembered it vacant.
Mhm.
And Brett, let me ask you something. And so what's already been built, how do we know that there's no contamination there? Is there anything built now?
Yeah,
We're in the process of it.
Correct. They're in the process of developing the site. They have removed some contamination from the property. Some will remain subject to engineering controls that are going to be approved by Miami-Dade County DERM and an engineering control
Okay.
plan. So that's all part of the process. Eventually, when development is complete, the property owner will need to record a restrictive covenant on the property just to let future owners know not to use any groundwater there and that there is contamination remaining. If they have to do any future work, they'll have to do it subject to requirements to seek approval from Miami-Dade County DERM if they're going to upset anything that's below the ground.
Wow. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I mean, and I know we're just having a conversation now. Just that kind of surprises me. So how is it that you guys, that your client caught the contamination now versus before?
The client purchased the property with knowledge of the contamination. Durham has
Okay.
a regulatory file. It's this program that did not come into their awareness until a little bit later on in the process.
Got it. So technically, so they knew about the contamination. They didn't self-report it. It was already known. And so the county was okay with your client building on top of whatever contamination they've already built on.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Yeah, sounds good. All right. Do we have any council discussion? All right.
Motion.
We have a motion by Councilman Zogby. Oh, I'm sorry. I just said that. I just, you know what? I'm going
It's a
crazy
weird
right now.
statute. Yeah.
There's a lot going on today.
We're not voting on this today.
We're not voting on this. All
I
right.
Take it back.
All right. It looks great. It looks great. All right. Thank you, Brad. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right. So we're done with that item then?
Yeah.
It just goes away. Just,
You'll see it on
Okay.
December 10 meeting and you'll vote then.
all right. Got it. So unfinished business.
City council member voting conflict interest disclosure. I just wanted to add to what Barbara said, that they have the 15 days to file it with our office. But the reason why I asked is we always encourage council members to file it if they have it done. So but they do have 15 days
Got it.
to file for.
If I may through the chair?
Yes, ma'am.
So one of the items that I would like to propose, the mayor and I had discussed ways for us to highlight veterans. I know that the mayor holds veterans.
Did we finish the form? Are we done?
Yeah.
I just wanted to-
Pretty much covered that.
Okay, we're done. Okay, go ahead.
So I know, like I was saying, that the mayor really values and supports and wants to highlight veterans in our community, as do all of us that sit here on the dais. And one of the things that we would like to propose is having November be highlighted as Veterans Month in the city of Hialeah. And maybe next year, we can work with the city to develop some more ways to highlight these individuals that after serving our country are here serving in our city or residing in our city. Whether it's, hosting a parade. I know that we had our ceremony on Monday and Councilman Tundidor was one of the speakers. And we, with our chief by our side, issued about 31 different certificates for different employees that are here in the city of Hialeah that serve now our community, but prior were veterans. And we're very lucky to have those employees here working with us in the city of Hialeah. So if we could please draft something highlighting November in the city of Hialeah. I know that this is our last meeting this month, so we won't be able to engage in that paperwork, but maybe in December. And then next year we can work on highlighting some key topics and finding ways to really, support our veterans here in the community, Mayor.
Yeah, it's such a nice event that we do on Veterans Day and there's a good turnout by our veterans and their families. And we have, as it was acknowledged there, a lot of first responders and other employees from the city that are veterans. But, it's incredible how there are other instances that we celebrate an entire month, yet veterans, we just give them one day. And I think the idea by the councilwoman is wise, and perhaps if we don't limit ourselves just to Veterans Day, obviously we'll do that event. But, during that month where there are kids in schools and what have you, maybe there's a way of us collaborating with some schools. We could collaborate with our Veterans Association and maybe do a parade or something, a walk or something that we could kind of show our support for them and our gratitude. And I noticed while we were there, the wall, and George pointed this out to me, and something that we need to do is the wall that there needs some love and tender care. There's a lot of cracks in the granite and all that. So we're going to see if we could, kind of fix it up a little bit. But what's interesting, and it really jumped out at me, is that if you look at that wall and you look from World War II to, I believe it's the Iraq War is the last one there, you could literally see the transformation of our city. You see it in World War II. The names are all what I would call old timers, pioneers of the city, Anglo names, and they slowly start changing. And in the Vietnam era, you start seeing 3 or 4 Hispanic names, and as it goes forward, then it's just Hispanic names for the most part. So we need to do something with that wall. We need to do something to kind of spruce it up a little bit. I don't know, maybe even light it up at some point so that people could, say that we, understand that we pay our respects to our veterans, those that didn't make it back, and obviously those that are here, right? So, and maybe some awareness things that the city could do. We've seen now, I think in the last two meetings, a veteran come here and talk to us and if there's ways that we could help with housing issues like that, I think it's all worthy that we could dive into these things. But let's give them a month. Let's honor them for a month, not just a day. And it's a day that, for all of us, we end up barbecuing and having parties in our houses. And then it's like a long weekend, right? Maybe we should do a little bit more for them. So we could draft something and have it ready for you to review quickly.
Thank you. I
Thank you,
appreciate
Mayor.
that.
I'd like to also know, Mayor, and to this council, I sit on the board of the Museum of Cuban Diaspora, and that museum is not in Hialeah, but it has strong roots in Hialeah, and so we are going to be releasing the first and permanent Cuban exile community exhibit within the museum in the coming weeks. And that's a big deal. It's a big deal for our community. It's a big deal for not just Hialeah, but Miami-Dade County. And so I want to plan maybe a field trip, right? The whole council and anyone else who would want to come and participate on the grand opening of it. But also, Mayor, I think it would be nice to also provide some sort of recognition to some of the folks involved in the development of that Cuban exile exhibit. And I know you would be extremely on board with that. So I don't know if Mayor, is there a particular month that we can also honor with regards to efforts made by the Cuban exile community? Is there one month that
Perhaps if we
July, no?
perhaps if we collaborate with other jurisdictions so we could globalize a little bit, not just us, Hialeah Gardens.
Oh, yeah.
This will be maybe a little bias on my part, but the month of April is the month where the Bay of Pigs invasion happened. It's a 3-day course of history. The brigade does a lot of activities. Perhaps the month of April could be looked at as a month that we could, commemorate exile accomplishments or however you want to term it. I just use that as a month. There could be others, but there's a 3-day period there that they do some stuff, not just in Little Havana, but also in Hialeah Gardens.
Perfect. All right. Thank you.
So we have two separate items that have been discussed in regards to proposed resolutions for the Office of the City Attorney to draft. Is there going to be a vote on each one independently?
No, Mayor, I think the Mayor's supportive of this, right?
You're
Or-
supportive?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
there's
yeah,
no
yeah,
need
yeah.
at all. We'll sponsor
And we'll
it.
work, I mean, the other one is just a work in progress that we still have to
Yeah,
work on, okay? So, all right, any other new business? Okay, all right, so heading into, new business, go ahead, item A.
Report of Scrivener's error pursuant to section 30-31 agenda of city council meetings of the city of Hialeah Code, the city clerk shall correct Scrivener's errors that are discovered in ordinances, resolutions, council minutes, and staff reports, and promptly report all corrections to the city council. On October 22nd, 2024, the city council approved consent item NN for the issuance of a purchase order to RNC Management Incorporated in the amount of $118,800 for the printing of utility bills and envelopes for the Department of Public Works. The item should have been approved as a resolution, being that the expenditure amount exceeds $65,000. The item is being amended to reflect the passing of a resolution.
So do we need to do anything on this or no? All right,
No, I just reported.
okay, item B.
Pursuant to section 30-31 agenda of city council meetings of the city of Hialeah Code, the city clerk shall correct Scrivener's errors that are discovered in ordinances, resolutions, council minutes, and staff reports, and promptly report all corrections to the city council. On August 13, 2024, the city council approved ordinance number 2024 075, an easement reservation for an eastern portion of a 12-foot alley running east and west between East 9th Avenue and East 10th Avenue, extending westward for approximately 220 feet, more or less from East 10th Avenue. Section 2 of the ordinance reserves a perpetual and exclusive easement which the city never intended to reserve. Ordinance number 2024-075 is being amended and that section 2 shall be stricken in its entirety.
All righty. Thank you all. Have a good night. Heading on into zoning, administration of the oath.
Will all those persons who will be testifying on an item, please stand and raise your right hand.
Las personas que quisieran prestar sus opiniones delante de esta junta, por favor, pónganse de pie y alcen la mano derecha.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God, and so say I do.
¿Usted jura o afirma que el testimonio que va a dar será la verdad, toda la verdad y únicamente la verdad y que Dios sea su testigo? Por favor, diga que sí si la respuesta es afirmativa.
Let the record reflect that all have responded in the affirmative.
En el archivo público constará que todos han respondido afirmativamente.
All righty. All right, let's go ahead and move on over to. Oh, you're leaving? Oh, you're gonna leave now? Wow, wow. Things have changed. Things have changed. All right. Perfect. All right, so let's move over to item A, please, in land use.
First reading of proposed ordinance amending the future land use map from commercial to medium density residential property located at 55 West 29th Street, Hialeah Zone C2, Liberal Retail Commercial District, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
All right, this item is in first reading. Name and address, sir.
Good evening, council members. Alejandro Arias, 701 Brickell Avenue.
So what do we want to do here, Alex?
This is currently used as ground floor daycare. On the top, we have 4 multifamily units. The daycare is a thriving Springview Academy. They have found another location for their operational needs at another location. So really, they just want to repurpose the ground floor to be all multifamily, just like the top floors. And they are undertaking significant enhancements to the facade of the building as well.
What's the downstairs again?
A daycare center.
Oh, okay. All right. Perfect. This
So
sounds great.
we're adaptively reusing daycare to residential use.
All right. Sounds good. What's the pleasure of the board? We have a motion by Rodriguez and we have a second by Zogby. Please call the roll.
Sorry, sir. Motion by Rodriguez.
Motion by Rodriguez and second by Zogby.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia-Robles?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Junco? Is
He's,
away?
yeah, he's away. You gotta get the other vote as well. Okay.
Ms. De La Vega?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for December 10, 2024.
Okay.
If I could record Ms. Garcia-Robles' vote for 12E.
Yes.
You want me to wait for him now?
Yeah, let's wait for him. Mr. Junco, we need to record your vote on 2 items, right? Go ahead.
The consent agenda?
Hey, the vote on the consent agenda?
On consent item V?
Yes.
And
And then this one, huh?
this one and 16A. Thank you, sir.
All right, item B.
First reading of proposed ordinance amending the future land use map from low density residential to medium density residential property located at 4595 East 4th Avenue, Hialeah, zoned R1, one family district, and legally described herein, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
1 second. Name and address, sir, please.
Cesar Master with offices at 8105 Northwest 155th Street, Miami Lakes, Florida.
Okay, perfect. What's going on here? Oh, you want to give us a presentation, Cesar?
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
The property is located on East Fourth Avenue on the corner of 46th Street. We're here just for the land use amendment from low density to medium density residential. Next slide. It's a 13,000 square foot lot that's located on the corner of East Fourth 46. The present land use is low density. Next slide. The land use amendment will show you where the property is located. There are properties to the north and to the south that have RO and medium residential density, which is what we're asking for. Next slide. This will show you the Neighborhood Business District 2. This is one of the properties on East Fourth Avenue. You see the purple ones. That's designated as Neighborhood Business District Section 2. The proposal is to demolish the 1,400 square foot house that's there now. Next slide. And to redevelop it according to the MBD code. Next slide. This is East Fourth Avenue, 1 block north. You've got the parking garage for Hialeah High School. 1 block south, you've got the bank, Regions Bank, which across the street has the McDonald's restaurant. We will come back with the rezoning application, but basically, the next slide, we're looking to redevelop it into a 21 unit apartment building with 6 floors, and bottom will be commercial with a daycare located on it also. You have a recommendation of approval from staff. You have a recommendation of approval from Planning and the Zoning Board. Also, in the recommendation from staff, you'll see that the property and what we're asking for is consistent with the comprehensive plan and with the future land use element goals and objectives. So based on that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. I respectfully ask for the approval.
Through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this, what we're seeing right now is what they wanna, they want to demolish the house that's currently there.
They want to demolish the house and build it according to the Neighborhood Business District Code. This is a very, very close representation of what we're going to do. We have to come before you with
Okay.
the rezoning, and staff in their report says that there will be much more scrutiny on that level. So we'll come back to you with a little more details, but this is basically what they want to do.
Okay, and so the top will be residential, right?
The last 3 floors are residential, 7 units each. There's parking on the first, second floors,
Okay,
and there's commercial, 5,000 square feet
on the bottom.
on the bottom.
Is it intended to, do you know if it's intended to be restaurants or?
Right now, I know part of it is supposed to be a daycare.
A daycare.
And these are the same folks that came before you on the property on East Fourth and 36. Thumbelina, used to be Thumbelina, the place burnt down. This is the same folks. With me here is Adrian Tejeda, who's one of the principals
Principals of the building or the daycare?
of the building.
Of the building.
Of the owners of the daycare
Are building this.
are the ones that are going to be building this as one of many projects that they've done in Hialeah right now.
I think the first picture where the house was located, can we go back to that? So this is a residential area, right? Those are houses in the front, houses to the side?
There's RO across the street to the north. You see that, the one on the right side? That's actually an accountant's office, I believe, there. And several of the properties are already residential office, which means they have businesses in them.
Okay.
And the other part is that it has been designated with the NBD overlay district, which means that whole purple section that I showed you
Mm-hmm.
is marked for redevelopment pursuant to the Neighborhood Business District
Two
Code.
businesses, okay.
Okay, if I may through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Claudia, can I ask you? Just in that MBD district, what is, I would say, the most kind of aggressive property that we have there? Of how many floors, like what's the tallest height that we have thus far right now?
From that segment, I will say that the densest area will be the school, which is less than a block away. It has a parking garage of approximately 4 stories, the
Mhm.
garage. So you are talking about similar scale with the proposal that it will come in the future.
So the school, but then do we have any other like retail, mixed use kind of?
We have commercial. There is a McDonald's close by. There the bank, and there are different offices. When Mr. Mestre refers to RO, it's
Mhm.
because they are residential, but they are commercial offices operating from those houses. So even though it looks like a single family home, it is not. It is an office space. It's a commercial space.
Next door is an office space?
It's across
No.
the street.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But next door and behind it, it's not.
It's residential.
Yeah, it's residential. So right now, I mean, I know that the property to scale looks like it's pretty large, but the model that was shown is it looks a little bit aggressive for the amount of land that's there. I don't know if it's gonna be impeding onto the neighbors if we,
The property to the east, and it's mentioned in staff's report, has a 12-foot alley,
Mhm.
which is going to be part of the buffer between this building and the next one. In addition to, we will be required to have a CBS wall, and I'm sure that we'll enhance it with lush landscaping to prevent any type of interruption with the folks next door.
what's the street that's right in between that? So we're on East Fourth and what?
46,
It's 46.
the corner of East 4 and 46, the southeast corner.
Right,
Highly high, yes.
right.
And so, there's a property directly across catty corner to the parking garage from Highly High, which is East Fourth and 47,
Mhm.
which I brought before you a couple of years ago, and that's already been changed to commercial use as well.
Okay.
The owner passed away, and I know that there's going to be a new application coming with something very similar to this. So since it has been designated as neighborhood business district overlay, I think this is the first one, but I think definitely the idea is that the future is going to have some more dense property there because of that designation.
So
And it's really only the ones
Ah.
along East Fourth Avenue.
So,
let me,
if I
go
may,
ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Claudia, so this is one of the Suntan Village homes, right? This is one of the flat roof homes that we had?
Yes, ma'am.
We're not doing anything to preserve those homes? We're just, those are the World War II homes. We don't have anything in our books to preserve any of those homes from,
As far as I know, we have recognition that they have some sort of value, but as far as I know, there are no houses of that that type actually under the historic designation.
has a pool and everything in the back. Mhm.
Through the chair.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
have one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
Just, okay, so we have, how many stories would it be again?
We're proposing 6.
6, okay. So we have a 6-story building there, right? Residential. So the house on the back, right? And the house on the side. Here's what I'm just thinking, right? The people who live on the 6th floor, 5th floor, the privacy to the other residents, right? Because you live on the 6th floor, you can look down, you can see your neighbor, this neighbor here, this neighbor. I feel like the privacy to the surrounding neighbors is not going to be there. I
And
feel
that's
like that's
something
going to be.
that I've come across on other projects. And what we normally do is try to work with the architects so that's designed in a way that it doesn't invade the privacy of the neighbors.
Okay.
Like I said, there's a 12-foot alley. There's going to be landscaping. I'm sure some type of trees that will grow
cover
to
that.
hide that. But that is something that I take into account when we're doing these to make sure that we don't interrupt
Okay.
the folks next door.
Right now, we are discussing to approve the
land use.
land use. We're not the project.
We
right
have
now.
to come back with more specifics and a rezoning application. And that's when you'll actually
Okay.
deal with the specifics of that
Of the
building.
Okay, thank you.
No, all right, so just a couple of things. Couple things, Caesar. If we approve this, Councilwoman De La Vega, we're approving it at medium density, right? And so when they come back, they're going to be requesting a zoning that's specific to that land use. So the vote today determines really what happens in the future. So I just want to make sure that that's cleared up. And Claudia, he mentioned that he's using the MBD overlay. Is that part of the new ordinance, or is it part of the older ordinance?
The older, the existing. ordinance. Basically, this is one of the districts that is already part of the existing ordinance. So the existing MBD has 5 districts, and this property is located in one of the existing districts for the
Right.
MBD.
And so, the new ordinance that we're proposing that we're going to bring back in December, January, whenever it is, does it still take this into account in this district? Like, does MBD is still part of this?
Correct.
Okay.
It remains.
Oh, it remains. Yeah. You know, maybe you know, I'm trying to figure out the good and the bad here, Caesar, right? I think maybe Claudia, we should take a deeper dive in where we're placing these districts, right? I think it'd be healthy for the council to actually see either aerial views or some sort of street view of where it is that we're looking to put these overlays in, right? Because 6 stories is 6 stories, right? People have a problem with 3, right? So when we mention 6 next to someone's house, I mean, it is a bit frightening. I know we talk about Hialeah High, but that's a school, right? And there's nothing directly next to it, right? Across the street, you have some single family, but not right next to it. So this would be the largest privately owned property in that general area, right? Because if we're just saying that the biggest property, the tallest property at this moment is the school, then put that to the side because you're making it an exception, right? This is going to be the largest, tallest building in that area.
If it duly noted to your comment before, but yes, basically, if it gets to that process, and also just for the record, whenever there is a property of this nature next to a single family home, there are different requirements that they come into play. For example, whenever this NBD is proposed next to a single family home, it requires a deeper setback, meaning a higher separation. So not as if you will have a commercial land use or zoning next to it. So there are other items that they will come into place that it will better define that buffer or that separation from a single family home, but duly noted to your comments.
Yeah, I mean, okay, even if you have a 12-foot setback or a 20-foot setback, I mean, if I'm the 8th house from that, they're still going to be able to see what I'm doing in my backyard. I think maybe, Claudia, like I mentioned, we should reevaluate, and I'm glad we tabled the item, the NBD item, because then this is an exercise that we can do. So make sure you tell Deborah that at the next meeting or whatever the case is, or maybe one-on-one, right, with every council member, because you know, again, and you know, Caesar, Mr. Mestre said it perfectly, right? You know, he believes that this will be the first application, but not the last, right? And so we just have to be very careful, right, in making these decisions, because we got to get this right? And so, Caesar, I don't know, you know, is there something maybe that the applicant could also look into, maybe some workforce, maybe, I mean, what?
I had a feeling you would mention that. What I can tell you is that it's the same developer that came before you on East 4 and 37. I believe that one we did 20% of the units to be affordable, if you remember. So I'm sure that they're going to be proposing something along the same lines. Again, that'll be something that we can address during the rezoning. I come to you with the exact numbers and the proposal that they want, but I'm expecting there to be something very similar to what occurred over there. And I can tell you also, if I read from staff's recommendation that they wrote, it says the adjacent properties to the north are designated residential office, low density residential, medium density residential, and major institutions. To the east, the properties are for low density residential, separated from the subject property by a 12-foot alley. The properties to the south have land use designations of low density and medium density residential, while the properties to the west are exclusively low density residential. So it's, in conclusion, she also says here that this is consistent with the area and what the policies and objectives of your land use plan are. So
Yeah, but it's not consistent with the characteristics of the area, right? And I think that is probably, that is a concern. I think everyone here is having, right?
I think we're saying two things. I think, and what she meant here is the land use is consistent, and whether the proposed final product is or isn't, then I guess that's something we can decide at the rezoning. Right now, what she's saying is the medium density residential is consistent with what's there.
Yeah.
Through-
Yes,
through
ma'am.
there, I just wanted to say, Caesar, I think you bring some great proposals, right, to the city. I do love the ideas that you bring. But the 6 stories is what kind of is like, to me, in that area, those houses, I mean, is there a way of kind of maybe going back to the drawing board and not being 6 floors?
There is absolutely, and like I said, the principal is here and he's hearing your comments.
Okay.
And we have to come before you to get the approval, whether it's 6 stories, 5 stories, 4 stories. And I have a funny feeling we'll be going to the drawing board
Okay.
and reconfiguring this at that stage. But at this point, whether it's 3 stories or 4 or 2, we still gonna need the medium density residential to get to that next step. And that's the only thing we're asking for today.
So,
I-
so for understanding, Claudia, why don't you come up here again? So what is, so medium density with NBD is how many units per acre?
It is 24, if I'm not mistaken, if you're not taking any of the incentives. Yes, 20.
Okay, is he planning on taking the incentives?
We do have some incentives in the current plan that's not finalized. We do have some incentive.
Okay,
plans.
so he mentioned 21 units though for this project. Okay, and so at medium density, you would be capped at 21 or at 24, more or less is what you're saying?
No, that is going to be 24 if they don't have any incentives. So they can reach higher if they go with incentives. So 24 is without, it basically is
At
the
medium density.
base, medium density.
Mm. So then Caesar, what would happen then if we entertain this and what happened? Did someone
Sorry.
die? Oh, so let me get a little more specific then. So what would happen then, Caesar, if in the scenario this moves along at medium density, right? And then the council isn't happy with what you bring back at zoning.
Right.
What would be the direction you would take then, or your
They
committee?
would have to come back with a different proposal that would meet with whatever specifications you give us during the comments. If I come to you with a 6-story building and you tell me, we don't see it, you've got to go 4, then obviously we're going to go back and redraw it and come up with 4 or 3, whatever the number is.
Okay. All right. And where are we with that other project that you said that the 20% of the units were?
I believe they've already broken ground on that one, on East 4 and 3-7. Okay.
Okay. All right.
If I may, through the
Yes,
chair.
ma'am.
Like I said, I'm a little bit apprehensive, and this is a conversation we had when we started discussing the new districts. And truth be told, seeing a single family home, this isn't a dentist's office, this isn't, an attorney's office. This goes back to what we've been saying, that we want to preserve single family homes in the city. So I think it's a bigger conversation to be had. And I would also, part of that analysis is analyzing that district and seeing, okay, what properties here can we truly turn into this medium density, this mixed use that isn't tearing down single family homes? Because I think someone's living there. It has, there had a pool, has a barbecue. It's not, and we're here demolishing now homes to put up these buildings. I don't know. I personally don't feel comfortable with it, Caesar.
Well, they stole the property. So
I understand, but we're still going back to a precedence that we've been trying to keep here. And, we keep on approving different types of apartments, different types of rentals, but we need to preserve our single family homes in the city. That's my personal opinion. And I just have a difficult time, demolishing this. The same way that we had this conversation when Paraíso, the restaurant came, that they wanted to knock down homes to build a parking lot. I mean, this is something that we see happening, and if we keep on allowing it, little by little, we're taking away from our market.
I agree with you that there perhaps has to be a conversation had. Because I can tell you that
With us.
we,
you know,
we
with-
met with the mayor and he liked the project. And I guess the disconnect
Yeah.
is when you see something designated either TOD or NBD, you believe, I believe, that the city is on the same page and they're trying to redevelop these single-family homes and they're trying to get more density and they're trying to do it along certain corridors. And that's why I gave you the map showing, hey, look, this has been designated NBD.
Yeah.
And we're willing to do it according to the MBD with whatever restrictions or parameters you put forth. But I think that's a big disconnect.
Yeah,
that-
no,
that
and
there is right now.
and listen, and Councilwoman Perez, you know, she obviously she's entitled to her opinion, and we
Yeah,
will
of
have her
course.
opinion. But you know, again, just to be clear, right? I'm not saying that we're against this approach, right? There is a housing need. Just two things. I think we should be very careful on the intensity of the project. And again, if wherever we can fit affordable or workforce housing, I think we should do it. But the bigger issue is, are we okay with designating this area as an MBD district, right?
That's why I
The
would like
chair,
an
right.
analysis.
Or keep it as an existing MBD
Right.
district, right? Because I know that's what you were going to say, but I think that's the greater concern, especially with us now making modifications to the language,
Right.
right?
And just, you know, just for your thought, basically these areas, they were designated, because they are in main corridors, because of the capacity of the traffic, the proximity to, major roads, in this case, to 49th Street. So there are many components that they were taking in account in order to create those corridors. And we only have 5 corridors, currently in this ordinance. The proposal expanded to 8. And also the same process was put into the analysis of what is the capacity, what is the traffic, what is the commercial activity, what is the growth for those areas. So those were proposals. So those, what you think about it. In this case, we are 3 blocks from 49th Street. Also, the traffic, it was analyzed and the capacity that road actually has at this point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just think, I mean, and I've been thinking about a lot this whole process and our job here on the dais, but like there are cities that say, hey, we're not going to do that in this area, right? There are cities and that they're very strict and they've been successful in doing that. I think that you know, we experience the most growth from a revenue perspective or whatever the case is with development. Absolutely 100%, right? But I think, you know, when we talk about this concept of preserving certain things, right? Whether it's a type of building, a type of architecture, or a characteristic, right, of an area. I mean, those are things that I think the longer that I'm on this is the more I keep thinking about, right? And again, maybe it's a deeper discussion that we need to have with zoning, and maybe this council, all of us should have gotten a little more involved with or should get involved more with the vision, with the 2050 vision of the city of Hialeah. But I think there's just multiple discussions here to be had. And Claudia, I would challenge you and Deborah to reach out to every council member, those that are interested, obviously, to sit down and have this conversation and look exactly. We don't want to spend an hour or 2 hours on the council doing that exercise. Well, then we'll send invites out so we can all sit down and talk about it. I don't know exactly what to do with this particular item. You know, we're talking about making changes to the NBD. I mean, then do we want to touch this before making changes to the NBD? So it's
I would, if I may, through the chair.
yes.
I would say if we could pause, Caesar, until we have that conversation. We had asked to do a workshop. It's nothing in particular to this case, but in general, our last council meeting. So I apologize that you're the first one to come up, but I would prefer, I don't know what the other members think, for us to have that workshop and kind of identify those areas, identify how many single family homes are in those 5 corridors that we're discussing, identify the need. I agree that there is a housing need, and I know that we want to address that, but it comes with a cost, and I don't know, you know, it's a very thin line that we have to walk on. So if you don't mind, I don't know if you want to table it, if you want to just withdraw for right now until we have that meeting. I don't know when it's scheduled. I believe it's scheduled until we get back the data.
Not yet. Go ahead, ma'am.
Through the chair. So I agree with you. It's just that 6 stories right there where you're putting it. I don't know. I mean, maybe if it was closer to 49th Street or on 49th Street, it would be different, but 6 stories is pretty big. And you know, there's nothing there. There's no other building except for the school.
So
So I agree with Councilwoman Perez to like table it or do something with it and not make any kind of move there yet until we can have, more information.
Yeah, go ahead, sir. Okay, all right. So let's do this. So, but I just don't want to table something and then not do anything about it, right? So again, I asked the council members if we table this, if we can meet individually with Claudia and staff to dive a little more into what the MBD ordinance is, and so we can have a better discussion and idea when this item comes back up. So, Cesar, are you good with tabling till next month?
I resolve nothing if I go forward and I come back with the rezoning and it doesn't pass.
No.
So obviously we will request the table at this time.
Okay.
And then we'll be on standby
Okay.
for you guys to tell us no, when you want us to come back.
Perfect. So can we get a motion to table to the first meeting in December?
Motion to table till December 10th.
We have a motion by the Vice President.
Second.
We have a second by Perez. Please call the roll.
Give me 1 second. I'm just making sure we have enough time to advertise. Yeah. We had a motion by the Vice
By the
President,
Vice President, and then a second by Perez.
Mr. Dunidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Junco,
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is tabled until December 10, 2024.
All right. Zoning.
And we'll be reaching out to meet with
Please, yeah.
each one of you.
Caesar, I'm sorry, question for you. Was this property come up a couple years ago and something? Just remind me.
No, the one
No.
the one you might be thinking about was East 4 and 47,
Gotcha. Thank you.
right catty corner up to the parking garage from Hialeah High.
Got it. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. All right.
A question on
Yes, ma'am.
us following up and doing this workshop. Are we allowed to do this workshop together or is that not?
No,
Just
I think we're gonna do individually
Just to make
with
sure we all
staff.
get the same information and we're all
Yeah.
on the same page.
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
They're
regarding
gonna-
the information given to us.
But didn't we, I'm sorry, if you're done, the
Yes.
chair, didn't we say we were gonna do a workshop?
The workshop was gonna be specific to, I believe, the different uses. Right? We discussed uses, Claudia?
Through the chair, we postponed the NBD to January, to the January meeting, so not a specific separate workshop. But that will be up to council.
That would be a sunshine meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
The workshop. I'm just asking for the sake of this item, right, that we meet individually with staff. All right, item A, zoning.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance rezoning property from R1, one family district, to R35, multiple family district, granting a variance permit to allow a front setback of 10 feet, where 25 feet is the minimum required, allowing an interior east and west side setback of 5 feet, where 10 feet is the minimum required, allow a rear setback of 5 feet, where 20 feet is the minimum required, and allow 27% pervious area, where 30% is the minimum required. In contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinance, sections 98-589, 98-590, 98-591, and the Hialeah Landscape Manual dated December 13, 2022, section E, entitled Tree and Lawn Requirements by Zoning Classification. Property located at 533 East 22nd Street, zoned R1, one family district, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
All right, this item is second reading. Do you have any public comments online or in the chamber?
And online, sir.
All right, do we have any council discussion? We have a motion.
Motion.
We have a motion by Rodriguez.
Second.
And we have a second by the Vice President. Please call the roll.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Dunidor,
Yes.
Mr. Junco,
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
All right, thank you.
Are we
Thank
done?
All right,
That's it? Last
good
one?
to see you again. All right, item B.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance granting a conditional use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinance, section 98-181, to allow a kindergarten class with a maximum capacity of 22 students in conjunction with an 81 children daycare. Property located at 5378 West 16th Avenue, Unit 5356, Hialeah, Zone C2, Liberal Retail Commercial District, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
All right, this item is in second reading. Do you have any public comments
None online.
online or in the chamber? Do you have any council discussion?
Motion.
We have a motion by Zogby.
Second.
We have a second by the Vice President. Please call the roll.
Ms. Garcia Rovez?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Dundee.
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Junco?
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
All right, thank you. Item C.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance approving a final plat, Flightway North, accepting all dedication avenue, street, roads, or other public ways, together with all existing and future planting of trees, shrubbery, and fire hydrants. Property legally described, more particular in Exhibit A, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
All right, there's items in second reading. Any public comments online or in the chamber?
None online, sir.
All right, do you have any council discussion?
A motion.
We have a motion by Councilman Zogby.
Second.
We have a second by the Vice President. Please call the roll.
Ms. Garcia Rovez?
Yes.
Ms. Perez? Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Dundee.
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Junco? Ms. De La Vega?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
All right, item D.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance rezoning property from R1, one family district to R2, 1 and 2 family district. Granting a variance permit to allow a replat the property into 2 substandard lots and to allow the construction of a duplex on each substandard lot, having a frontage of approximately 65 feet and 50.5 feet and a total lot area approximately 5,200 square feet and 4,040 square feet, where frontage of 75 feet and a total lot area of 7,500 square feet are required, granting a variance permit to allow the following setback adjustments for the northern lot, allowing the front setback of 10 feet where 25 feet are required, allowing an interior south side setback of 5 feet where 7.5 feet are required, allowing a rear setback of 5 feet where 25 feet are required, and allowing 46% pervious area where 30% is the minimum required, granting a variance permit to allow the following setback adjustments for the southern lot, allowing a front setback of 10 feet where 25 feet is required, allowing a street side setback of 10 feet where 15 feet are required, allowing a rear setback of 5 feet where 7.5 feet are required, allowing an interior north side setback of 5 feet and 1 inch where 25 feet are required, allowing 59% lot coverage where 30% is the maximum allowed, and allowing 22% pervious area where 30% is the minimum required. All contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinance, sections 98-348 subsection A, 98-545, 98-546, 98-547, and the Hialeah Landscape Manual dated December 13, 2022, Section E, entitled Tree and Law Requirements by Zoning Classification. Property located at 501 East 8th Street, Hialeah zoned R1, one family district, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Wow, that was a lot. So is this just a duplex? Is that what it is? Come in.
Is there somebody here representing this?
Yeah,
item?
do we have the speaker represented here? No, he's not here. Is it Gino Dominico? I think. Is he the
Mr.
pizza guy or
Frank
no?
de la Paz was,
Close.
yes, involved in the application. But this is currently a one lot, and the applicant is requesting to subdivide it, make it into 2 lots, so he can develop a duplex in each of the new proposed lots.
Is the applicant here or no?
No.
So,
You're so far ahead already? I'm sorry.
No, you're the non-lobbyist, no? Okay. Okay.
But I'm willing to answer any technical question that you may have. I am registered, but I'm not a lobbyist. Because this happened, welcome, Ms. Govea.
Yes.
First time I ever seen you. Congratulations, Mr. Council Member. My name is Frank De La Paz, with office at 11000 Southwest 104th Street, Miami, Florida. I did register as a lobbyist, but I'm not registered with the city as a lobbyist because I was informed that as long as I'm representing my clients from my construction and real estate businesses, I'm not asking for you to vote in favor of it, but I'm involved in my project because that's what my business is. And the city attorney has yet to determine that because we contract with the clients to design, build construction, that we are entitled to do certain things without paying into the city to become a technical lobby and in favor of other projects.
However, before you walked into chambers, a conversation was being had in regards to questions that they had to the property owner. So are you going to be speaking on behalf of the property owner as to the questions that council is going to be posing? Because at the end of the day, that would be you lobbying on behalf of this
Well,
project.
if it's regarding technical questions as to why the project is being designed that way, I'll be out, I can answer them. It all depends the question. I haven't heard the question. But I definitely will not be asking you or begging you to please vote in favor of my client. That will be lobbying.
So go ahead. Yeah, you want to try that? You want to give it a shot? Yeah.
This is another example of things, just to use an example, not specific to this property, of all the variances that we're allowing. This is why I'm saying that we need to have a zoning kind of workshop, just so that we could be on the same page, not just with the MBD, not just with, but just in general, just to have a conversation to be had. Because this is, I mean, I don't even know how many variances are being, requested here. I don't know if that we have a limit. I don't know if there's a backup with this that shows all the restrictions, because I don't see it here.
Ms. Perez, if I may, if from the design point of view, the block has duplexes. Instead of going with the duplexes that have been built on East Fourth in the U roads, where you had 0 setback in the middle and make it look like 4 units, we came out with a nicer design in order, instead of having one building facing the schools, which will require less variances. The department determined that if we face it this way, 2 units facing the street, 2 units facing the avenue, it will be a much better product than anything else that could be built. I believe the neighborhood needs rehab. Like I said, down the street, you got duplexes and they look ugly. To the north of us is a very depressed commercial area. And I think that this will be a nice example of providing housing to the city without going into intense. One of the things that we designed, and that's why you have on your
If I may, at this point, you're advocating on behalf of the owner and his.
Okay,
entire
I will not
project.
be
You're
advocating.
Exactly
Okay.
answering any technical
So
questions,
let's-
sir,
Okay.
with all due respect. You
All right,
need
so
to
let's,
be
okay, so
respectful.
let's do this. Let's do this. Let's table this item.
Yeah.
Can we get the applicant here in the next meeting or no?
I can get the applicant or I
Or
can
on Zoom?
get
He could come on Zoom.
or I can get a counsel to come in the next meeting. I mean, he was here, but he had to leave.
Okay,
We sat there for a couple of hours.
all right. I just don't feel comfortable if our city attorney is mentioning this, let's table this to the
Okay,
next meeting. in
before you
December.
table, if anybody has any technical questions, I would not mind answering.
Okay,
So this had nothing to do with needing sprinklers, because when you do a fourplex, you need to have sprinklers, which I know that then you would have to get like a water line. The layout had nothing to do with needing a sprinkler system
No,
to the property.
no,
No?
Then-
Okay.
no, we don't.
let's
Yeah.
wait, because if the city attorney, so can we get a motion to table to the next meeting?
A motion to table to the next meeting.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, please call the roll.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Donedo.
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles.
Yes.
Mr. Junco,
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is tabled until December 10, 2024.
Okay, thank you. All right, item E.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance rezoning property from RO Residential Office District to OPS Offices and Professional Services District. Granting a variance permit to allow 16 parking spaces where 29 parking spaces are required. Allowing a front setback of 13 feet where 20 feet are required. Allowing a rear setback of 8.11 feet where 15 feet are required. Allowing an existing front and corner side landscape buffer between the off-street parking and right-of-way of 1 foot and 8 inches where 7-foot landscape buffer is required, and allowing a 10.4% pervious area where 30% is a minimum required. In contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinance, sections 98-2189, subsection 4, 98-1026, subsection 1, 98-1026, subsection 2. The Hialeah Landscape Manual dated December 13, 2022, section D, entitled Shrubs, Vines, Ground Covers, Mulch, Buffers, Plants, Quality Storm Water Retention, Detention Areas, Native Species, and Landscape Mitigation, and section E, entitled Trees, Lawn Requirement by Zoning Classification. Property located at 3499 West Fourth Avenue, Hialeah zoned RO Residential Office District. And legally described herein, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
All right, this item is in second reading. Do we have any public comments online or in the chamber?
None online, sir.
All right, do we have any council discussion?
Motion.
We have a motion by
Second.
Councilman Zogby, and we have a second by De La Vega. Please call the roll.
Ms. Perez, Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Donedo,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles.
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega,
Yes.
Mr. Junco.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Good night.
Thank you. All right, item F.
First reading of proposed ordinance granting a variance permit to allow surface parking facing West Fourth Avenue, where surface parking shall not be located in the front of the building, allowing 272 parking spaces where 287 parking spaces are required, and allowing a modification to the declaration of restrictions recorded in Official Records Book 33193, page 3671. Of the Public Records of Miami-Dade County, Florida, in contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinance, section 98-641, subsection G, and 98-2189, subsection 19C. Property located at 7450 West Fourth Avenue, Hialeah zoned R33, multiple family district, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
All right, this item is in first reading. This is the Salvation Army.
Yes, former Salvation Army.
All right, name and address, please.
Erica Adams, law offices at 701 Brickell Avenue.
All right, so you have a presentation for us?
I do.
All right. Go ahead.
I'll make it brief. So good evening. As I said, Erica Adams, law offices at 701 Brickell Avenue. I'm joined tonight by my colleague Alejandro Arias on behalf of the applicant Amelia TH 4.9 LLC. The subject site is located at 7450 West Fourth Avenue. And as you can see from the aerial, it's currently under construction pursuant to the approvals that were already before this council. So it was before you the first time for the land use change to medium density residential, and then again for the rezoning to R33 and for the expansion of the NBD overlay. And the reason for those approvals, if you go to the next slide, was really to, allow for the development of a project that is more in line with the vision for the West Fourth Avenue corridor, something that could bridge, the gap between the different uses, the residential uses. To the north of the site, you have single family. Just across West Fourth Avenue, you have the Amelia district, which is mixed use. There's commercial and retail there. And then to the south of the site, you have multifamily. So with that in mind, if you go to the next slide, the project contemplates 100 townhome units with a mixed use building all the way to the east on just on West 4th Avenue. And that's still, this is what's approved. That site plan is what is approved. And the same is contemplated today. If you go to the next slide. The reason the reason we're before you today is with two simple requests. The first one is to allow for minor non-use parking variances, which I'll go into detail about, the reasons for that in the next few slides. And also to allow the applicant to amend the declaration of restrictions, again, which I'll go into more detail about. Next slide. So the first reason for the request for the parking variance is that when the applicant was going through concurrency and pulling permits, they discovered a 100-foot DERM easement on the easternmost portion of the site. And so at that point, the applicant met with the city and came up with a way of kind of dealing with this easement in a way that would, maintain the integrity of the project, reduce parking as little as possible, maintain the internal circulations, kind of disrupt it as little as possible. And so on this slide, I circled the affected area. This is really the only part that's being contemplated, within the requests in this application for the parking specifically. And if you go to the next slide. So the top of this slide, you'll see what was previously proposed. So building 1 was kind of, all the way pushed up against West 4th Avenue. And then on the bottom, you'll see that this is what the applicant and the city kind of worked on and what they arrived to. So it takes into account the DERM easement. So 75% of the DERM easement needs to be undeveloped. So that's why you'll see that, 75% of that area is green. And then they push the building to the west. And so there's parking in the front and in the rear. But obviously, throughout the course of that process, there were a few parking spaces that were lost, which leads us to the request for the variance. If you go to the next slide. The second reason for this request is that throughout this process, the applicant was approached by a restaurant tenant, Vanilla Espresso. Apparently it's very good in the Miami Lakes area. People really like it. But technically under the code, a restaurant use requires more parking than a regular retail use. So that also affected the parking ratios. And so then again, at that point, the city suggested, okay, since this is going to affect parking and we have a restaurant use, what we want to see is a shared parking analysis to figure out what the real demand on the site would be. So if you go to the next slide. So this is a copy of the shared parking analysis. Typically in cases like this, where you have a site that has multiple uses that's sharing one, parking area, but that has different peak demand hours, you do a shared parking analysis to figure out what the actual demand on the site will be. So it's typically more indicative of the realities of the parking situation on the site, rather than the code, whereas the code kind of just attributes, you have this square footage and this use, so you need this parking. The shared parking analysis really, takes into account the different, the different peak demand hours. So in this case, you have residential, and the peak hours for residential parking is, when people come home at night after work, they're parked at home, they sleep overnight, the car's parked there, and then they leave in the morning. That's the peak parking demand for residential. And then, for the restaurant tenant, that hours of operation are from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So the peak hours don't really cross over too much. And when they do, the shared parking analysis shows that the peak parking demand would be 242 spaces. So the peak parking that would be needed on the site based on the study is 242, and the applicant is providing 267. So there's actually a surplus of 25 spaces pursuant to the shared parking study, though it's technically, under what the code requires. So that's, again, why we have to come through this process and formally request it. But if you go to the next slide. So, this slide is just to highlight the significant surplus that we had based on the shared parking study. In fact, the applicant was going to provide for more parking, and the city, recognizing that we had so many extra pursuant to the study, actually suggested, look, why don't you remove a few extra spaces and enhance the outdoor dining area? This is going to be something that the residents will enjoy. This is something that, neighboring residences can enjoy, and, neighborhoods. And so since you technically need to come in and request a variance anyways, and you already have a surplus, why don't you enhance this area? So, again, this is just like to further the point that there's definitely enough parking. If you go to the next slide. So the second request is to allow the applicant to amend the declaration of restrictions. So right now, provision 5, it prevents against condo conversion, but the way that it's drafted, it kind of, it prevents the applicant from being able to sell the townhome units as condo at all. And so, condo conversion language makes a lot of sense, and it's warranted if you have, a multi-story, multifamily building that's suddenly retrofitted for condo and it displaces people and it's disruptive. But in this case, this isn't really a concern. First and foremost, the product that's being, contemplated for sale for condo is the townhome units. And the townhome units, it doesn't really bring the same concerns. And also we're in pre-construction, or we're in construction right now. So there's not a concern either that, people are going to suddenly be displaced. It just eliminating this language would allow the applicant the flexibility to meet the market where it's at. If it looks like the market is really calling for, condominium, for sale townhome units, then by eliminating this language, it would allow the applicant to sell those units individually. And it would actually probably provide for much needed housing diversity in the area. So, the applicant would be able to sell these units at a price that's less expensive than a single family home. But it still offers the public the opportunity to own something that's, less expensive. If you go to the next slide, this is just, a study that says that owning, purchasing a home, it's a HUD study. It says purchasing a home is one of the single most important investments a family will make in their lifetime. It's the first step to wealth creation. And then unfortunately, the image on the right, the graph to the right, shows the decline in, people's ability to own homes. So again, by allowing the applicant to sell these units as townhome, they would be, helping the situation by providing less expensive product on the market, albeit a townhome unit. If you go to the next slide. This site is just, again, to show that the actual location of the site is well situated for this product. Again, to the north, you have single family, you have a lot of rentals in the area. And so offering townhomes for sale here would be a nice kind of middle ground. Next slide. And finally, these are just some suggestions that the city proffered. They suggested that we, enhance the landscaping, that we enhance the pavers in the front, elevated planters, and also add connectivity to the neighborhood to the north. And these are all things that the applicant has implemented and integrated into the site plan. And with that, if you go to the next slide, the applicant received a recommendation of approval from the Planning and Zoning Board as well as staff. And so tonight we respectfully request that this council find the same. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Yes, through the chair, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
For shared parking, is that going to be shared? So let's go back to the slide. I think it was. All right. One more. There you go. So the residents are going to have 2 parking spaces, and then the shares could be visitors. Just walk me through that a second.
Yeah. So the way that it works is that the townhome units will have their parking spaces, and there's also guest spaces, and then the multifamily units will also have their spaces, and so will the restaurant. So all of the uses will have their spaces. The only difference here is that those spaces are being shared. So this is really typical in other municipalities. In fact, they have it in the codes typically, that if you comply with the shared parking study, then you don't need to go through the formal request of a variance. In this case, Hialeah doesn't have it. So we're going through the formality, but what's being offered here is there's certainly enough parking for each unit. And then there's, of course, guest spaces. And then the restaurant uses have the parking spaces and the guest spaces that are needed for that. The real question is really just which spaces are being used when. And in this case, they're shared.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So having lived through an experience like that past year, are they planning to police this, or are we going to put anybody as far as, I think, Monica, we talked about this once, that maybe we can have actual force the owners of the property that have security or anybody like that actually policing it. Has that been talked?
In terms of policing, I don't know if Alex wants to chime in.
Yeah, so just to kind of clarify a little bit, so the townhome units, those will actually be gated within. Each one of those units will have their own parking. Those will not be contributed to the shared parking.
Okay.
The shared parking really is between the multifamily unit on top of the retail component.
Okay.
And those uses, those will have their parking, and they will also have a decal program that will identify what are the residents of the neighborhood, so that we can see who actually is a customer of Vanilla Espresso, and then who has the resident decal, so that in the hours of non-operation of the retail, we'll know exactly that that is a resident, that is their parking space, and that's how we'll monitor. the
Gotcha,
shared
thank
parking.
you. And this could be monitored by security or
By the property management.
management? Gotcha, okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I have a couple, did you have something? Go ahead, you go ahead. And I'll go last, yeah.
Okay, I have a couple questions.
Good.
Can we go to the slide where it would show where the multifamily homes would be versus, is it the townhomes?
Yeah, the
Okay.
townhomes. You can, yeah.
That's good right there, no?
I just want to see where do they separate?
So if you go to the, see which slide it is. I think it's the fourth slide. So this is a previously approved site plan. The only difference is, again, that building one, it's pushed to the west. So there's parking in front of the building and there's parking behind the building. And the gate that we're talking about is in between both. So the gate would be to the right of that long row of blue that you see. It would be to the right of that.
Okay, so all those right now in blue to the left.
Those are all townhomes.
Those are all townhomes.
Yes.
And then what's currently in blue to the right
Is a multifamily building.
is a multifamily building, but it's being moved to the
It's
west.
just being moved to west.
Right, and so there's gonna be a gate right here. And so
Yeah.
these are townhomes and these are multifamily. So multifamily will be mixed in with the retail, right?
Yes. So that's already been approved. That's
Okay.
already, yeah.
Is it one retail?
Right now, there's
space?
one, yes, there's one
So
retail
it's only
tenant.
one retail space there. Okay. My other question is on the easement, that's gonna be kept greenery? I'm assuming that's not, because it's so close to Fourth.
Right.
West Fourth, there's not gonna be like a walkway there or?
Well, it
people
has to
can-
be undeveloped, so
Okay.
they're leaving it green. And then to the extent that DERM allows, landscaping, I don't know that they will, they're very strict, but to the extent that they do allow landscaping and, beautification of the area, I know that the applicant is definitely interested in making it look nicer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then the surplus of the 25 spaces,
Mhm.
that is for townhomes or?
So it's for both. So that's the shared parking analysis. What it does is it tracks what the max demand is
Okay.
when the uses overlap. So at night or in the morning, when there may be still people at the restaurant and people are getting home, that peak demand where the uses overlap, where they otherwise typically don't because people are at work or the restaurant is closed, the peak demand is 242 spaces and we're offering 267. So what the study is showing is that even though the peak demand is 242, we're offering 25 more than what the study is showing is going to be required on the site.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then my last question, for the townhomes, how many parkings do they get per unit?
2.
Okay.
Yeah, they have 2 and then there's guests. There's also guest
And then
spaces.
there's guests.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, Erica?
Yes.
Erica, so just a couple of things. Yeah, the condo conversion language, the removal of that, I think it's great, I think it's more than 50% of the properties in Hialeah are rentals, right? And so this is a good way to address that, although it's not guaranteed is what I'm hearing, but I think it's a good first step. So I want to ask, because I don't remember, maybe you can walk me through the history again. So we changed the land use,
Mhm.
right? To what?
To medium density residential.
To medium density.
Mhm.
And then we changed the zoning to what?
R33.
Okay. And then we changed the zoning to what again?
Well, it was R33 and then they extended the NBD overlay to
Right.
allow for the mixed use on the eastern portion of the site.
Right. But was there an increase in units
There was an increase in units, meaning what?
from when you expanded on the NBD?
Yes.
So, all right. And so Councilman De La Vega, like those are things that I also want you to take a look at, right? Like, and I say this as a way to know and understand some of this language, right? So we approved the land use, right? And then they came again someday and then they said, hey, we want this type of zoning. And we approved it. Now do it. And we approved the zoning. And then I guess it was what, like 6 months later that you guys changed it, right? Or how long after the initial zoning change?
Does that seem like the right timing? I wasn't here for those approvals.
So I think we came in with the land use first, and then the zoning actually came in together with the R33 and the MBD.
Right, okay.
The R33 really was for the 100 townhomes, And then the NBD was necessary for the mixed-use retail component of the
Right,
project.
but zoning
But I
just
believe
said that
that
we
came at the
increased
same
units
time.
though, right? So the number of units increased when we took advantage of, when they took advantage of the NBD, right? So those are things, right, to look at. I mean, you know, an application comes as one thing today, but then tomorrow, right, it changes. So I just wanted to make sure we highlighted that, because I believe initially though, Alex, it was, and Erica, this was strictly townhomes, right? Wasn't that the idea at first?
It would make sense if the original change was to medium density residential and then they did the R33 with the NBD overlay.
But no, originally, the rezoning process had the 100 townhomes, and then it had the building that's shown there pushed up to the front of West
Okay,
Florida. So
got
that
it,
did
got
have
it.
multifamily and commercial already baked
So
in.
the multifamily, the apartments were always part of the deal from the
Correct.
beginning?
Correct.
Okay, all right. So then the parking sounds were great for the townhomes. So for the apartments though, right? So how many parking spots per unit minus the shared component of it?
So there's 2 spaces per unit, and then there's also the guest spaces. So the guest spaces are actually all outside of the gate, which is important to know because they'll all be, you know, in communion with the multifamily units and with the restaurant units in
Okay.
terms of,
So again, so the apartments, right?
Mhm.
Not the townhomes, but the apartments.
right.
Not including the shared parking for
Mhm.
the retail, right? What is the number of parking spots per unit
Per unit
for the apartments?
for the apartments.
Yeah.
One second. One. It's one.
Okay. And then so it's one parking spot, right? One spot per unit. We're saying, and then these units are what? Are they ones? Are they what?
They're one bedroom.
So they're all one bedroom, Claudia? Is that because Erica just,
No, I'm sorry. 12 of the apartment buildings are 2 bedrooms, so those require to have 2 parking spaces, and 2 are 1 bedroom, and those require 1 parking spaces. Meaning, 2 of the apartments are meeting the code, and the other 12 are 50% providing the code.
yeah. So
Apologies.
and then again, and so I just want to make sure we have that distinction, right? Because the only reason why I'm bringing this up is actually I had a resident on that area complain about parking right on their swale across the street from their house on the canal side, and I guess folks coming from the Amelia district and all that. So I just want to make sure we're very clear on this. So 12 of the apartments are 2 bedrooms, and then they only have 1 parking spot. And then 2 of those bedrooms or 2 of those units are 1 bedroom, and then they have 1 parking spot per unit. And then you're saying that the difference or the quote unquote surplus is what we've allocated for the retail, for that, which would be shared. Am I hearing that correctly?
That's I think the current, and if I'm understanding what you're saying, do you want to repeat what you're saying so I can confirm?
So how many parking spots are used for the shared parking for the retail?
For the shared parking, all of the spaces, there are 100 spaces that are behind the gate. So that'll be for the 100 townhome units. And then the difference, I guess, 267 minus 100, 167 spaces would be on the outside of the gate. So that would all be accessible to the apartment units, and as well as the guest spaces for the townhome and the restaurant uses.
So to be specific, on the front portion, which encompasses the multifamily, the commercial, and then the guest parking, we are providing the 25 required parking spaces for the retail component, the cafe. And then we have 23 parking spaces that are guest parking. So that brings us to 48 parking spaces. We're providing the required for the retail, and then we have the 1 per 1 for the residential component like that.
But so the 48 is 25 for retail and 23 guests. Are we saying that the 25 retail are also for the apartments?
The 25 retail really are designated for the retail.
Okay.
Then the guest parking can be utilized depending on the time of the day for either the residential or the guests or additional surplus parking for the retail.
Okay. And then these 48, are they going to be also used by the townhomes as well? Is that it?
No, the townhomes have their own separate parking gated off, so their parking is really.
It's just 2 parking spots per unit, no guests
Exactly.
within the boundary.
With it. The guest parking is part of this to be utilized when.
Yeah. All right. So let me just, okay. So I just want to make sure we're clear. So the townhomes are how many townhomes?
100
100 townhomes. And so then we have 2 parking spots per unit within the gate.
within the gate.
Right. Okay. All right. So that's fine. So we got 200 parking spots, right, in total for the townhomes. All right. So then outside of that, we have 48 parking spots. Right?
Right.
So it's the retail, 25 retail, and then 23 guests. So that's a total of 48. So now out of those 48, some of these are going to be for the apartments.
Yes.
14 are going to be for the apartments.
14 are
Are
right off
set.
the bat for okay, got it. So then obviously then what we're saying is that 14, so we're at 48. Okay.
No, but wait, if I can, you said that in total there's 267. So we're already deducting 200 for the townhome. So we're left with 67 spaces.
Right.
Then 48 of that is designated retail and guest. So we're only left with 14 spaces for the apartments.
No.
We have 14 designated spaces
For the apartment
Des-
building.
Apartments.
for the apartments.
Okay, how many apartment units are there?
14.
14. And out of those 14, can you repeat? I know you've already said it a few times. I apologize. How many are 2-2 and how many are 1-1s out of the 14?
12
12 are
twos?
2-2 and 2 are
12
1.
are 2-2 and 2 are just 1-1.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. So then. Yeah, that. Is part of their parking. It's gonna be their parking eventually at night.
The guest
Because
parking.
we're not gonna be able to avoid people having 2 cars and they're gonna start using the guest parking as parking.
Well, you are going to be able to avoid people having 2 cars. They do it in all of their other communities as well, which is why they use that decal system.
But that's why we've been having the problem that they're parking on the swale in residential areas in that area. That's what we've been seeing. Since they're not being provided, they're now impeding onto the swale areas of those homes. That's an issue we've been having.
It is an issue, but I think that also stems towards property management. Property management is dependent on who actually owns and operates the project. These owners own thousands and operate thousands of projects throughout the city, and they don't have any of those issues with parking in any of their other projects. So we're very confident that via the decal system, via the oversight and their operational uses on other projects, that will not be an issue here.
It's been happening in that area,
In the area, yes.
in the Amelia area, yeah.
But I think
It's been
also
up-
it is important to remember like the shared uses is important. The restaurant, there are, certain parking spaces that are required for the restaurant, but the hours of operation for the restaurant are 7 to 7. And the reality is people are not, everybody is not parked at home from the hours of 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's actually when the least amount of people are parked there. So that's why the shared parking analysis, which they use methodology that have, worked for other projects. That's where they get the methodology from. That's why they do the shared parking analysis. And if it wasn't 2 shared uses with different peak demands, then the shared parking analysis wouldn't work. But here, the real question is, are these 2 uses happening at the same time? And the reality is they rarely are. And when they do overlap, the demand was 242, meaning at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., that's not the peak hour of the restaurant, but that's when people are getting home. So that's,
And just to elaborate, because Councilwoman De La Vega asked if the retail space, she said there was only 1, but you said as of now, it's only 1. Does that mean that there is still some kind of plans to expand that retail space on the first floor or another location?
At this time, no. I mean, I don't believe that there's any plan in the future. I can't speak for the applicant and what they're going to do in the future, but right now the plans show that there is one retail tenant.
spot.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a restaurant. Yeah.
So what do we do peak times in the weekends though?
I mean, the shared parking analysis takes that into account. I guess the demand on the restaurant over the weekend hours is not as high as it would be during the week. But that would be the traffic consultant. I don't know, that was the peak demand for the traffic consultant based on the methodology.
Look, I like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I like the project, right? And I like the fact that there's a condo component to it. I just think it's good to talk about these things and be very clear on, I don't like when we start putting numbers together and all this stuff. So it's good to look at line item, right? Line by line, how many parking, how much parking are we really dealing with? Because then we got to sit here, right? And hear about all the issues that we're finding on swales, right? Next to the canals, and then there's beer bottles, and then there's this, and it's because, a council a long time ago approved that garbage project, right? And so I want to make sure, and I think all of us do, that not to repeat that same history, right? And so I think these conversations are needed.
And I
If
think,
I-
I'm sorry, and
Go
I
ahead.
think as part of the conversation, it's also important to note, right, that this is not something that's voluntarily brought forward by the applicant. We found that DERM covenant or that DERM easement, going through the process of construction. We would love to push that building up and build originally what was approved, but it's an hindrance on us, right? Once we found that, to try to reorient the building and provide uses that complement the city. If we were to just provide the residential, the entirety of it residential, we would be meeting the parking, but by bringing in a dynamic use of a restaurant and the outdoor dining and all that, it makes it a little more challenging, which is why we needed to reconfigure the project. But I just want to highlight that really, this is not something voluntarily from us, but something that was uncovered during the construction process and us trying to make the best out of it.
And if I may, through the chair.
Yeah.
When you had to push back that building, instead of scaling back the apartments or, adding more retail space, I think I would be more comfortable with that. Instead of making that a rental community, that building, maybe just making that like a little hub with different kind of restaurants and taking away that component of having so many apartment rentals.
I think originally it was mostly from all multifamily, where now we are bringing in a retail component. So we wanted to actually diversify the product type as opposed to just make it all multifamily. So this proposal, by connecting the neighborhood to the north, by providing the paved areas, the seating areas, in my opinion, actually presents a much more pedestrian-friendly development program than what was originally provided early on.
But scaling back on the amount of units. Right now, if there's 14, scaling back, making it 10, making it 8, and then expanding more on the retail side. So we have a little bit of more retail space there, more restaurants, and we don't have the issue with the parking. Is that something that we're open
The
to
issue is that the
discussing?
restaurants actually create more of a parking issue because they demand more of the parking. If we were to keep the residential as was approved, we would likely be meeting the standard much more closely than we are now with the restaurant. The fact that we brought in the restaurant is actually what's leading us to require more of a parking variance when you bring that into account with the DERM easement.
Right.
So this project is already under development as it is. The development program had to change because of what was uncovered during the construction process. So I would say it's very challenging now to, even based on the financial metrics, to go in and change what's required. I think that this really represents what is the best case scenario for the city and the applicant in meeting what the city vision is and the best that we can do with what was uncovered based on the DERM easement.
I don't want you to take anything away that I'm not happy with the project. I like the project. I like the townhome feel. I just think that West Fourth Avenue is a busy street. And I think it requires having like more commercial spaces, more interactive nightlife, locations for people to go out to eat. I love the cafe. I think that's excellent. That's one of my favorite locations to eat at next door in Miami Lake. So I'm super excited about that choice. But I'm just a little bit apprehensive with the parking component, to be honest with you. But I like the project. And it's nice to have you here. Welcome.
I think Councilman Zogby misses the Salvation Army. I think it's
Used to.
You miss back there.
You would go there often. Yes.
All right.
Through-
Any other
through-
council discussion?
Through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I really like this project. I think that area could definitely use more restaurants. I think I've been trying to advocate for that area for more restaurants. So I'm excited about the vanilla thing.
Espresso.
Yeah, vanilla espresso.
Vanilla ice.
I think, so here's what I picture. I picture for those 14 units, those 14 apartments that have one parking space, I picture, especially for the 2-bedroom ones, is those residents saving spots and keeping cars there parked so that nobody takes a spot. And I just feel like it can become a very big problem. Think about it. It's a 2-bedroom. That doesn't mean that there's only 2 cars. There could be husband, wife, and teenager, right? Teenager can have a car, so there might be 3 cars. Is there not a way of maybe modifying? Well, first, I would love for there to be more retail, but is there not a way of modifying maybe in the back space, taking out some units and adding parking or?
And just to piggyback off of what she's saying, then you can answer that. You know, my mom and I used to live with my uncle, well, you guys don't know the idea, but behind the Home Depot on 49th Street, right? There's like some apartment buildings there. And so what my mom would always do is she'd get there early, she'd park on a guest park, right? And then my uncle, we had 2 parking spots, and my uncle would park on one of the designated parking spots. And so we had the other designated parking spot as our guest parking spot.
And when you would
Okay,
get
now you
there,
know what
somebody
the-
would move the car.
That's how we did it, right? And so I'm pretty sure, like us, there's 230,000 other people, you know? Right. Well, they used to do that too. But Erica, please, if you could answer her question.
I think, importantly, the way that they reconfigured building 1 with that parking in the front, it really lends itself for the restaurant owner to monitor who's parked there. So there actually will be a separation between the parking by just having that parking area in the front. So to the extent that people are saving parking spaces, if they have a guest space, I mean, the site allows for guest spaces. So if they want to use their guest space for somebody, obviously the property management team will be monitoring and making sure that people aren't just parking there all the time. But, to the extent that people are going to be reserving the restaurant spaces for like their mom or for an extra car, all of those spaces really will be in the front. And so that's going to be monitored by the restaurant owner. And I can almost guarantee that no restaurant owner is going to just allow the same car to be parked there every single day.
Yeah, Erica, but if one of those shared parking spots is, I'm just playing devil's advocate, right? But if one of those shared parking spots is meant for both the residential and the restaurant, if someone comes at night at 9 o'clock at night and parks in one of those shared parking spots, what if they don't go to work the next day because it's they're off? Right? So how do you control? Like, there's no way to control that. I mean, right? Like,
I mean, it would be up to the property management team. I mean, like Alex said, there's going to be fobs, there's going to be decals. I mean, they're going to be monitoring the cars.
it's tough.
Yeah. So through the chair, President, actually, the only way it worked out, having security guards there and towing the cars.
Yeah.
The community I used to live, that's the only way.
That's the
It
only
worked,
way
the
to do
shared
it.
worked, but it had to be strict from the management owner.
Yeah.
So pretty much there was a security guard. Okay, is it time?
Yeah,
Here we
but
go.
can you imagine a restaurant owner asking for a resident's car
But-
to be towed?
Well, it wasn't a resident, it was some restaurants, then you had some other businesses open a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
We
Yeah, she's
just
talking
have to
about this
think of
one.
all the scenarios.
Yeah. I lived it, so I can tell you
Yeah,
how they were.
And
Right.
it's an apartment too, so I kind of know that whole thing
Yeah.
about saving spots.
It all
We
depends on
did
the
it all the
property.
time.
It all depends on the property owner, the way they, property management, the way they're gonna run it.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
So just to highlight on the restaurant, right? They will have their designated 25 parking spaces
25, you said, okay.
in the front. So the restaurant owner, rest assured that he will see
Got
exactly
it.
who's parking there.
So none of his parking is shared.
None of his parking is shared. He
Yeah.
has designated 25 parking spaces. That's what we're meeting by code for the residential.
Yeah, perfect.
We have the 14 that is going to be for the residential.
For the
And then we have the excess parking, which is contemplated into this shared use,
the
which is
23,
which is then, yes, the guest park.
yes, it will be shared.
So,
Okay,
you know,
sounds
on a
good.
normal day, right, they're gonna park in front of the restaurant. They're not gonna go towards the back.
Oh, hey, sounds good. All right, do we have a motion?
Motion.
We have a motion by Councilman
And second.
Rodriguez and a second by Zogby.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Dundee,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes. Thank you.
Ms. De La Vega, Mr. Junco. Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for December 10th, 2024.
Perfect, thank
Thank
you, thank you all. Okay, item G, wait, that mint was good. What was that?
You want another one?
I said, no. That's even more. Item G is postponed until December 10th. Moving on to item H.
First reading of proposed ordinance rezoning property from C2 Liberal Retail Commercial District to R33 multiple family district, granting a variance permit to allow an interior west side setback of 7 feet and 11 inches where 10 feet are required, and allowing 16.93% pervious area where 30% is the minimum required. In contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinance, section 98-1606, subsection F3, and section E of the Hialeah Landscape Manual dated December 13, 2022, entitled Tree and Lawn Requirements by Zoning Classification, property located at 55 West 29th Street, Hialeah, Zone C2, Liberal Retail Commercial District, and legally described herein, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
All right, this item is in first reading. I think we just took this up in land use. It's first reading, no public comments. Do we have any council discussion?
Motion.
We have a motion by Councilman Zogby, Carl Zogby.
I'm
And we have a
sorry.
second.
Sorry, what are we doing? What is this?
So we have a motion and a second in place, but then Ms. De La Vega,
So
comments?
I looked it up, 55 West 29th Street, right?
This is the one we took up in land use earlier.
Yes, this was item 16A that we did the land use for. This is now the zoning, which is minor non-use variances. This building is existing.
Yep.
All we're doing is just repurposing and we're actually enhancing the facade of it.
Probably.
Okay. Good.
Hey, are we gonna do some pickleball courts here or no, Alex?
If we had the space, maybe on the roof.
Affordable pickleball. All right, so we have a motion and a second.
Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega?
Yes.
Mr. Junco? Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for December 10, 2024.
Do we have any final decisions?
Sure.
All right, Mr. Junco, bueno, congratulations on your first meeting. I hope to see you back here.
If I may, through the
Yes.
chair,
Go ahead.
Yes.
It's cold, huh?
I just want to say thank you to Councilman Tundidor. Thank you for serving
You always.
in
think
this
about me.
year.
You never forget about me.
You keep it light, you keep it fun. You've got to keep us on our feet. If not, we're gonna fall asleep here. So thank you, sir. You
Thank you.
served with a lot of dignity. You made us proud.
Have a good crew, so thank you guys. I know people like Frank and Alex. Those-
And
they're happy I'm
congratulations,
leaving,
Mr.
but-
Junco. Welcome to the club.
Like,
Like, thank you. And congratulations,
you.
Councilman Rodriguez and Councilwoman Garcia Robes.
Yeah,
Thank you, Monica.
Congratulations, though.
Thank you.
Meeting adjourned.